Welcome to the Midweek Mailbag, your Detroit Lions Ask Us Anything podcast, part of the Pride of Detroit family. My name is Jeremy Reisman. I'm the producer over at Pride of Detroit. You can find me at Detroit Online on Twitter or X or whatever. And with me, as always, to help answer your Detroit Lions questions is the managing editor of Pride of Detroit, is the machine, and is at Eric Schlitt on Twitter. Eric Schlitt is here. Eric, how we doing, buddy?
Hey, bud. I think you nailed that intro. Good job.
Thank you.
I didn't mute myself this week, so we're off to a good start.
We're nailing it unless there's going to be some sort of technical thing that's out of our control that will probably hit us now that we have nailed this intro.
No. All positive vibes, man.
That's right. Well, I'm not sure this is going to be an all positive vibes podcast, to be quite honest, given all the developments of the past 72 hours or so. This is, I'm going to warn everyone up at top, a very heavy Aidan Hutchinson related midweek mailbag, and understandably so. People are wondering what the Detroit Lions are going to do. I'm assuming they're probably not done figuring things out after signing Isaiah Thomas. So we're going to kind of lay out a blueprint of what we would do, what we think they might do, and the fallout in general of what it means for the defense, the Lions, all that, all in one podcast. Plus, we'll talk a lot of Vikings as well, because obviously Lions-Vikings is a pretty darn big game coming up this Sunday. So, let's get things started from at Brian Mills Fist on Twitter, who asks, who do you think they end up trading for to help the pass rush? And you know what? I'm going to sprout this into three different questions too, because it's going to be our all-encompassing, how do you replace Aidan Hutchinson? So let's start there, though.
Okay.
I know you've already written 1,500 words on this topic, but maybe your two top guys and why to trade for Aidan Hutchinson, to replace Aidan Hutchinson, not for him. We're not trading him away, to be clear.
I think it really comes down to how Brad Holmes wants to approach the acquisition, right? Is he looking for someone who's going to be just a short-term fix, just to kind of keep them going through the season? If that's the case, I'm looking very heavily at Zadarius Smith with the Browns. I think he's a guy who makes a ton of sense. He's not going to cost a lot to acquire. He's not going to cost a lot to employ. He is a veteran. He stylistically matches perfectly for what they're looking for. He's not going to play the same amount of reps or have the same amount of impact, but he is a plug-and-play guy that I think makes a ton of sense. You have a second year onto that contract if you want. It's, again, a palatable number at just over $5 million. But it's also, you won't have any ties to it. So I think he makes the most sense if you're looking for short-term, get bodies in the building, and, then attack this with the rotation. He just gives you more depth at a starter level player that I don't think you can find in a lot of spots. If you're looking for someone who is maybe more long-term, maybe a year or two still in their prime, I'm looking at Harold Landry of the Titans. And Harold Landry is a guy who spent the majority of his career, or I think all of his NFL career, with the Lions defensive coach, Coach Williams.
Terrell
Williams. And he is going to know, Terrell's going to know him, Harold Landry, better than anybody.
Yeah.
He's going to know what his strengths are. He's going to know how to use him, where to use him, how he best fits. And so he is a guy that you're going to, again, plug and play, get him up to speed very fast, starter level. You have control over him for a couple more years. And he's going to cost more. So you may have to sacrifice one of your homegrown players down the road. Not an elite player, but like a guy who's a heavy contributor. Maybe a Levi or maybe a Derek Barnes ends up getting sacrificed if you go after a guy like Harold Landry. So you have to attack that. If you're going to go after Landry, you have to go in with that mindset of how is this going to affect me beyond this year? Whereas Zadarius Smith, it's this year, and then maybe next year's just added on. So for me, I like Smith. I like the short-term veteran approach as opposed to Harold Landry, but I think Harold Landry would kind of be like my second option.
Yeah, I think both those make sense, and I think both of those align with what we've come to understand what this front office values and the kind of moves that they would make because of all the things you just said. This week was another important reminder that their MO is draft, develop, re-sign. That's what they want to do most of the time. And obviously they won't have the kind of draft capital that they had in that very first draft that is just proving to be more and more impressive, but they're doing a heck of a job still, right? Like last year, the 2023 draft, incredible. They're going to want to make room for those guys eventually. Hutchinson is a guy who becomes eligible for an extension next year. He's a guy that they're going to extend. There's no question, and they'll probably do it next offseason because they don't wait. They typically don't wait, and so that has to be at the forefront of all of these discussions, which is why I know people get frustrated when we say, hey, stop talking about Max Crosby. It's not going to happen. Stop talking about this. Stop talking about that. Now, obviously, they're like Hassan Reddick is kind of the elephant in the room here because Jeremy Fowler said the Lions reached out to the Jets. Now, I want to talk about Hassan Reddick for a second here because reaching out can mean a whole lot of things.
Yeah, he probably reached out to about 50 different players, and
right.
Hassan's just happens to be one of them. But
and there's so many questions with Hassan Reddick specifically. Now, certainly. I don't particularly like his fit in the Aidan Hutchinson role. That doesn't mean he can't play on this defense. I think there are other roles that he could play. Like Derek Barnes' role almost makes more sense, except I'm not sure about him dropping into coverage, and I know some people are a little sketchy on his run defense as well.
Sure.
But when you make that call, like the Lions would be very smart to make that call just to see, one, is he willing to play on it without a new contract? Because if the answer is no, I think that ends the conversation right there.
Correct.
Yeah. So like,
because he wouldn't even show up.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't think the Lions are willing to sign and extend Hassan Reddick. And given how long Hassan Reddick has had his holdout, given how many fines he's endured, I'm not so sure he'd be inclined to join Detroit, even if it's a good, comfy situation. He can step in and produce right away. And, maybe that builds to an off-season extension either here or elsewhere. That's a big risk for him, especially considering how much he's already put up in terms of those fines. So I get the excitement about Hassan Reddick. He's a good player. He's a double-digit sack guy. The fact that the Lions reached out, I understand that gets people excited, but to me, I'd be very surprised if that was anything other than a courtesy. Hey, will you play without a new contract? No? Cool. Talk to you later. That's it.
I think the big issue with the Reddick deal is that in most situations, you're just trying to accommodate one other person. And in this situation, you're trying to accommodate two, because you have to accommodate the Jets and then you have to accommodate Hassan. Right. And so there's just added layers that make it even more challenging. And, could it get done? Certainly, if they're motivated enough, they can get it done. But you have to be willing to, like, for example, if you want to get Hassan and you want him to play just on the contract he has, and he's willing to play without the extension, he may say something like, "You got to cover my fines, though." You know what I mean?
Right.
And so the Lions might be like, "Okay, well, we got to pony up extra money to bring him in," because he's typically, when players hold out, their fines, they end up reaching an agreement with the team, and then the team wipes the fines out. Right. And the fines are all just like superficial. Yep. They're only typically put in place if a player doesn't end up signing with them, and then they become due. Right. So, one, that you got to convince him to go against what he says he wants. And then you're probably going to have to pony up extra cost. And then the Jets situation makes it even harder as well, because they're not going to want to take too much of a loss, yet they don't have much leverage, so they may not have a choice. At the same time, everything is working against them trading to an NFC team, because the cost goes up for them in what they're losing. So like, it's a lot of obstacles to go get a guy who doesn't quite fit what you're looking for.
Right.
And maybe he does. And maybe they're like, okay, we're going to shift Pascal into Hutchinson's role. We're going to shift Levi out into Pascal's role. And then we're going to put Reddick at the Sam. And look, and that's workable. Like
sure.
Good. But you're shifting a lot of pieces in order to make that happen.
Exactly.
Okay. Right. And so again, I get reaching out. I get how you can make it work. There's a lot more hoops to jump through with him than there is with a lot of the other candidates.
Well, you just kind of touched on another thing I wanted to talk about. And before we jump into who on the team can fill that Aidan Hutchinson role or step in, do you expect like maybe a little bit of a shakeup with the rest of the defensive line in the wake of that? Because you mentioned, and actually just had a conversation with Tim Twentyman a little bit about this. Shout out to him. I'm actually going to be on that podcast this week. He talked about, maybe throwing Levi a little bit more on the outside. You know, he's been playing a lot of 3 to 5. Maybe he plays a little more 5 to 9 now. Is that something that you think is, one, within his skill set, and two, is something that the lines would do?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
I do think both are realistic. If you're doing that, though, the rub is you have to have someone else to pick up some of those interior pressures, and you just lost Kyle Pecco as well.
Right.
And so that becomes
Mekhi Wingo step up.
Maybe you sign Pat O'Connor off the practice squad,
and
then that solves some problems for you as well. Those are the ways to work it. In my opinion, Levi is one of your best answers for picking up slack for Aiden, right? Like you're going to need your interior guys to step up, but Levi is arguably he's such a talented player, and he's so position versatile that you're going to ask more of him. Yep. And so I absolutely think Levi, his game's going to have to elevate. Pascal's game's going to have to elevate. And then I think you're probably going to add another guy into the rotation, and you're hoping to correct this problem with a swarm of people, a swarm of different opportunities, and different types of players with different skill sets. But I think Levi is going to be at the top of the list as far as who can you use more internally.
Yeah, and you mentioned the last part of this equation, which is who enters the rotation here. Who is the starter? Is it Levi? Is it Pascal moving to the other side? Or who's that guy that steps up? Do we see a lot of Uku like we did as the in-game replacement, because they didn't really have a week to prepare, obviously, for Aidan Hutchinson? Does a Goudet come up from the practice squad? Do we see, I don't know, Nowoski or something else? A lot of people have thrown out Jack Campbell going back on the edge a little bit. Do you see any of those things happening? Or who is the one guy that you think, if there is let's keep everything else the same, let's just put a player here in Aidan Hutchinson's spot, who do you think that guy is?
I don't really have a great definitive answer.
Because there isn't one, right?
Because there isn't one, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of risk involved with everyone.
I think if you look at the depth chart, it might end up being Levi to Pascal, Pascal to Aiden, that type of switch.
Yeah.
Even though that's not best suited. And if you're like, hey, that's not what we want to do. We want to keep that right defensive end role a rush defensive end. Right now you have one guy, and that's James Houston, and you just made him a healthy scratch. So I think my natural inclination is to look at Uku and say, well, they played Uku over Houston, so I expect Uku to be the guy that they favor over him.
Yeah.
They turned to him when Aiden went down. Uku was the guy, but I mean, they didn't really have a lot of options, but that's the option they went with. I believe it's going to be Uku. I'm starting to lean towards maybe you elevate Pat O'Connor and Uku, or maybe it's just an elevation for Pat O'Connor. Maybe it's you sign Uku. You know what I mean? Right. You have 2 roster spots.
Yep. Could
be both. If you're not going to trade for someone, those are your 2 guys, right? In my opinion,
probably.
But I'm at the point where I keep my depth chart, right? Like my constantly going depth chart. I haven't taken Uku out of the starting lineup on my own personal depth chart just because I'm anticipating that. Um, because I don't know what the other internal answer is. And look,
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to play like 60, 70 snaps. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think he's probably going to play like what he played last game, which is like 40 to 50 percent of snaps.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're going to shift, you're going to use Levi in there, you're going to use Pascal in there, you're going to shift between, you're going to use more nickel, which means you're going to have more standard base guys. Like they're going to shift guys around, they're going to shift formations. But I think the guy who gives you that kind of like rush end availability on the roster, it seems to point towards Ukwu based on their actions.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it plays out because obviously that was Ukwu's first action, right? They may not have liked what they've seen. I mean, Dan Campbell went on the radio. I think it was like, yeah, that looked like his first NFL game. I think, yeah. So there could certainly be a change in mind there. Agude has at least a little bit more experience.
Sure.
I don't think Isaiah Thomas necessarily factors into that conversation. I wrote a whole big film breakdown of him, and I to me he seems like a big defensive end replacement, as in like a guy who plays 10 to 15 snaps when Josh Pascal is tired on the other side of the line.
If he was a guy that they were planning on starting, they would have signed him to the active roster as a backup weeks ago. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I honestly, like they would have, someone would have made that move if he was coming in. I agree with you. I think he is a depth player. And if you're going to start shifting Pascal around, you need a Pascal type guy. And maybe Thomas is the guy. And because like Levi and Pascal have been working together, and now you have to almost separate them. And you need a backup for Levi, and you need a backup for Pascal, and that's why I'm looking at O'Connor, and that's why I'm looking at, maybe Thomas being the guy.
Yeah. All right. Next question. This is still Aidan Hutchinson related. Wilkowski asks, looking for the silver lining in the Hutch injury. It seems to have sparked something no team ever hopes for, a rallying cry for a player to play for their star player. How do you think that mindset will carry over to the field? Will we see even more emotion in games from here on out? It's a good question. It's one of those questions that it's hard to quantify what it could mean for the rest of the team. But you better believe that Dan Campbell is going to try to milk something out of this. And I don't mean it in a superficial way. I think Aidan Hutchinson was beloved. I think we talked to every coach so far, or every coach that we've talked to so far has been like, it's not just losing the talent on the field. It's losing the energy on the field, the energy in practice. And so they're going to need to replace that. And I think using him as a, like, let's win this for Hutch kind of thing is very much something they're going to try to tap into, right?
Yeah, I think they certainly could. I also think you look at your other leaders and you say, there's an absence here and you need to fill it.
Yeah.
Right. Anzalone brings that all the time, and you already have that established leadership in place.
Yeah.
Branch is more of a quiet leader. Kirby is more of a silly leader. Like he's but Kirby was things light,
but he was also close to Aiden, right? Like
100%.
They had their little dance.
Yes. But like a guy who, in my opinion, is going to have to step up his leadership role is Aleem. You just got a massive contract extension. You're not a guy who typically likes to, spend a lot of time talking to the media. He doesn't shy away from it. He's nice. It's
kind of quiet guy.
He's never really had to. Exactly. Right. And he's nice. I mean, he's the nicest guy. He's very open and honest. He just doesn't do a lot of media scrums. And he hasn't had to, right? There wasn't necessary, because Carlton Davis is leading the secondary. Kirby's leading the secondary. You have Anzalone, you have Hutchinson, like you have all these, and even DJ Reader, like I was gonna say, they're all like, they have a lot of leaders in the room. But a guy like Aleem, you just got a big contract extension. Like there's parts of your game that you need to step up, and maybe you need to be more vocal.
It almost makes me think that Dan Campbell like almost certainly pulled him aside and kind of gave him the Tracy Walker speech when Tracy Walker got the extension, of just pulling him aside, being like, hey, this is your team now. Like, what do you want to do with it? And, maybe it's a bad example because of what happened with Tracy Walker's career, but I mean, every time Dan Campbell talks about Aleem McNeil, he's gushing over the guy. He's saying like, I know there's another level there. I know he can be a little bit more consistent, all in a loving way, right? It's not like he's not doing enough. It's, I've seen it. I know he's capable of it. I just want to push him that extra foot. And I think he's definitely gotten a speech like that from Dan Campbell as an aside. And
sure,
I think that's a really smart guy to highlight as someone that can bring in that extra energy. Next question here comes from Jacob Drost. Asked, does losing Aidan Hutchinson make Ifeatu Melifonwu even more important due to Aaron Glenn needing to blitz more to get pressure? Now, obviously, if he is still not eligible for 2 more games, he has to sit 2 more games, so this one and the Titans next week. But he's eligible for that at Packers game the following week. We don't really have a sense of where he's at. You've pointed this out a couple times, though, like when a player misses now 8 weeks of practice, it'll be essentially not likely to just come back and start the next week or participate in the next week. But I think it's a worthwhile question because as much as we talk about how important Aidan Hutchinson is to the team's pass rush, I don't think Aaron Glenn gets enough credit for the stuff that he manipulates. We talk about, the Vikings are a great example, right? We talk about how much their defense is manipulated, how much of it is schemed up. Sure. Aaron Glenn does that too, quite a bit. This team is top 10 in blitz rate. And so maybe it's not Ifeatu Melifonwu right away, but maybe it is down the line. How important, I guess, to you is the blitz going to be going forward? And do you see them potentially ramping that up?
I do, and I don't necessarily think it has to come from Iffy. I think it can come from a variety of different places. I think you blitz Brian Branch once, but he got home. Didn't get the sack, but he got a pressure and a hit. That's a card you can play maybe twice a game, 3 times a game, 4 times. You know what I mean? Like, you have your current usage of the SAM creates opportunities for you to blitz A gaps with your off ball linebackers. Corner blitzes, we saw them in camp. We saw them early. We haven't seen them recently. That's probably gonna come back.
Yep.
Now if he's back, he's terrific, but I don't think he's going to be like the catalyst to them necessarily blitzing more. I think he's just going to add a layer because the way that they've utilized the nickel this year is they want their nickel to be a coverage player. And that's what Amik Robertson's doing, right?
Yep.
In order to get Iffy on the field, you're going to have to do one of 2 things. You're either going to have to take off Robertson, which they don't seem too inclined to do, or 2, he's going to have to take over a linebacker's duties as like a big, like nickel linebacker, sub-package linebacker. And again, they love their linebackers. He's not taking either Kirby or Branch's job. That's off the table. There's not a chance.
They're playing too good.
They're unbelievable right now. And so I agree if he could be a weapon, but you got to find a way to get him on the field that doesn't include your safeties. Like, you have to utilize him more as like a specific guy. And then when you do that, you have to make sure you're disguising that you're not just putting him on the field to blitz, right? Like, that's part of what made him a good blitzer, was that you didn't know he was blitzing. So it's not as simple as just plugging him back in, even though he's and like you said earlier, he might not be back for a month anyways. So it'll be more of like a guy that they can just bring on for depth. I don't think he's going to be a primary piece for them, at least over the next month, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting, the options that are on the table here with all of the pass rush that this team has lost over the past month, bringing Marcus Davenport and Derek Barnes into the equation too, because philosophically, what does that mean? Does that mean you're trying to replace these pass rushers, or are you now saying, okay, well, the reason we had this Sam linebacker role so important to what we do was because we had the horses to do it. Now we don't have the horses to do that. do we switch to more nickel? Do we focus a little bit more on coverage than pass rush? Because it's a give and take, right? If you focus on pass rush, it helps your coverage. But if you don't have the horses for the pass rush, maybe you do kind of have the horses for coverage, right? You have some guys that you're not playing right now, including Iffy, including Ennis Rakestraw, that maybe you're like, okay, that should be our focus now. Let's make the quarterback hold onto the ball a little bit longer, and that'll help our pass rush.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Like what we saw last game against Dallas was an increase of nickel from about 50% to about 80%. Right. And the question you have to ask is, was this a conscious schematic change coming out of the bye that you're going to keep moving forward? Or was it specific to Dallas? My kind of inclination is that they haven't used it against 3 wide receiver sets in the first 4 games, and they played some really good 3 wide receiver sets. True. So I'm kind of leaning towards they may start utilizing more sub packages because, as you pointed out, they are known for scheming their defense around their players as opposed to saying, this is our scheme, where's the players to fit?
There are so many things that could have impacted why they played so much nickel.
Sure.
Some of it is, you're right, coming out of the bye. Some of it is team specific. Some of it is maybe, okay, Aidan Hutchinson is hurt. What are we going to do for the rest of that second half? Some of it is you're up 30 points. Let's just throw 5 DBs out there and make sure they don't beat us over the top. Running. Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
So this next week is it's going to be very fascinating to kind of keep an extra eye on what the plan is. And it's got to be fluid too, because I think like when the Derek Barnes injury hit, they tried Trevor Nowaski, and then we didn't see much of Trevor Nowaski. No, I'm sorry. They tried Ben Neiman. We didn't see a ton of Ben Neiman this past week. Exactly.
0.
So there's, I think what you see this week against the Vikings is very much going to be a test. And they're going to see what works, what doesn't work, and then it could look very different against Tennessee the following week. It's just like these next 2 weeks are like, okay, let's figure out what we got. And then the trade deadline is there. So they're like, okay, this worked, this didn't work, this is where we need someone, this is where we didn't need anybody.
Yeah, I think that also potentially presents a bit of a problem for Minnesota. So maybe that's a good thing, right? That they don't necessarily
there's a level of unpredictability. Yes.
Right. Because the Lions have a plan. They've watched the film. They've made their game plan. They have something. They're implementing it now. I don't know what that is. We're speculating. And I think Minnesota is going to be speculating as well, because it's hard to really tell. Like, what are they expecting? Like you said, there's a bunch of different variables that came out last game that were not standard because Dallas just got the crap kicked out of them. And so, we'll figure stuff out. But that level of unpredictability could be a big asset.
Use it to your advantage. All right, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to start talking about that Minnesota game, all the things that the Lions are going to need to do offensively, defensively, talk a little bit about Terrion Arnold, and a whole bunch more when we come back here on the Midweek Mailbag. We'll be right back. Okay, we are officially on break, which means all of y'all throwing questions in the live chat, either on YouTube and Twitch. This is your time. We'll answer some of your questions and all that jazz. Before we do, I do want to thank some people for some alerts, some subscriptions over on YouTube and Twitch. We'll start with Yevitz, 37 months subscribed on Twitch. Appreciate you. It's over 3 years now. It's crazy. Glors, thank you for the first time subscriber using your Twitch Prime, which is always a good reminder. I always forget to say this. Hey, do you have Amazon Prime? Of course you do. Everyone's got it. If you go over to Twitch, create a free account, you link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you can subscribe to one Twitch channel every single month for free. You only get to use one every month. But if let's say you're watching on YouTube right now, you don't even know what Twitch is. Go create a free account. Go link your Amazon account, subscribe to us, and never go to Twitch again. That's fine. That's a way for you to support us. Doesn't cost you a thing other than 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
All right, well, 5 minutes for us old folks.
Fair. Nick the Greek 100 bits says, "Can we get Robert Ayers out of retirement and back in the building, please?" Maybe. Probably more likely as a coach, though. Although, given that things didn't work out the first time, I wonder if there's some residual resentment. I still don't 100% know. I know there's some theories out there of what happened, but
I've heard it. This is the brace guy, right? Like, yeah,
that
right?
that is the story that I think you told me. I don't know how much I trust you.
Well, okay. Coaches want him to wear a brace. He didn't want to wear a brace. They said you have to. He said no thanks, and he left.
There you go. Have you ever said that publicly? Because
I don't know. I don't know. Well, I thought so. I'm sure I have. If I haven't, that's what I heard.
That's what the little birdie told you.
That's what yes. I was told that by someone in the know that would know, that literally would have been part of that conversation.
There you go. Jay Pook, thank you for the 27 months. That's 3 Twitch babies. Says, "I'd like to thank all the little people and the Giants like Jeremy." Oh, thank you. E-Wagen Maker. Oh man. E-Wage Maker. That's what I'm going to go with. 14 months, subscribe to the channel. Says, "Just get some decent depth. Don't break the bank." Certainly seems the route they're likely to take, no matter how much someone like Dan Orlovsky screams into the void that they have to go get Max Crosby. E-Wagon Maker, I'm sorry. One Pride, 0427, 18 months, subscribe to the channel. Says, "Good, let's go Lions." Be Pronto use their Twitch Prime, just as you know what? I'm surprised how well that worked. We got 3 Twitch Primes since I said that. Be Proto. I think I said Pronto. Be Proto. Thank you for the Prime sub. Joshua Mercer, 100 bit, says, "Hey Jeremy, I redeemed a listcast a couple streams ago. You weren't able to do. Can I get those channel points back?" Just
give him his channel points back.
I did. I checked. We literally have no pending. We have no pending. Look, right here.
Give it back. Give him more.
Over my face. There are 0 pending requests. If I didn't do it, I refunded it already.
Give him more.
Stop it. I can't. I literally can't. Judd91, 15 months subscribed to the channel. Appreciate you. Homeboy9969, 4 months subscribed to the channel. Appreciate you as well. Akumizer, 17 months, says, "Hola from Panama." Hey, thanks for joining us. What time zone is Panama? I guess it's probably pretty close. It might be Eastern. Just picturing it on a map. I think you're Eastern. Is it 7:38 over there in Panama? Or do they go military time? Is it 1938?
No, I think it's a little bit over, isn't it? Just a tick.
In what direction? East?
West. I think I might be wrong.
Panama is Eastern, but we don't have daylight. What do you mean? Ever? I mean, it's dark here now.
He means daylight savings.
Oh, daylight savings. That makes more sense. I'm jealous. Oh, so it's 6:38. Got it. Okay. Great. Thank you for translating for me, because I'm a dum-dum. We got to be getting close to daylight savings, right?
Oh, it's in November.
Time to fall back.
That I thought it was going to happen soon as well. Yes, but apparently it's happening in November. So,
well, that's next month.
I know, but I've been
November 5th. That's 2 weeks.
All right. All right. It's
trade deadline.
It's been dark when I put my oldest on the bus to school. It's pitch black out.
You're ready. You're ready to fall back, is what you're saying.
Oh, I've been ready for a while.
JT Sam, 26 months, says, "Do you think the run defense takes a hit with the loss of Hutch? Also, best Lions content by far." Yes.
Oh, I don't think so. No.
You don't. I mean.
I think that they're gonna dedicate even more to.
Okay.
I think
that's
it's
fair.
Still going to be heavily focused.
I was answering a different question.
Talent wise, you're
correct.
Saying. Okay.
I'm saying that I don't think enough is being said about how good he is at that.
Oh, okay. I mean, he is. He's fantastic. He's the best edge setter that they have. So you need whoever you're putting on that side to be a good edge setter,
right?
In order to do what you want to do.
Which is why when Dan Campbell was running through his options, he said, "And James Houston is here."
Yeah.
I mean, could things have been set up better for him to be given an opportunity? Like, you literally lose Marcus Davenport, you lose Barnes, you lose Aidan Hutchinson, and for God's sakes, no one's even talking about him as a realistic solution because the coaching staff has made it very clear where he is, which certainly begs the question why he's still here. And we talked about that a little bit last week. We don't need to get into it. We don't need to bury the guy anymore. But I
think he just doesn't fit.
Guy.
I think he's a talented player who doesn't fit what they want.
Right.
And it makes me wonder if they are exploring him as a potential trade piece as well.
Right.
Like, because he's not untalented. We've seen it.
Yeah.
We've seen.
I just don't. It's been a while since we've seen it. To be fair, though.
Well, right. Well, I mean, yeah.
The ankle injury,
but
looms large.
What they want,
is
they want 250, 260 pound behemoths on each side, and he's not that.
Yeah.
He is the exact same size as a linebacker, and they want someone 25 pounds heavier and 2 to 3 inches taller. And I mean, look, that's why they got Thomas. Thomas fits the profile.
Yep.
Right. Like, it's just it seems like such a bad fit because he never was able to evolve into the Sam role that I think they have envisioned for him. And I don't know how he's in year 3. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's a tough spot for him, tough spot for everyone. I'm sure it's killing him to not be on the field as well. I'm sure that's got to be extraordinarily hard.
He's gone through a lot emotionally. And I think I brought it up before. Yeah. Like, there was that Ty Dunn article about how he thought about quitting football his rookie season when he was stuck on the practice squad. So it's only gotten tougher for him since, especially since, like, having the high of that rookie season and the way it ended, only to kind of be right back where he started with the Lions. So
the thing is they were in a different defense. They were in a different scheme 2 years ago.
Yep. When
he was excelling.
Yep.
It's not the same now. It's totally different.
Yep.
Could they change back to it? Maybe they will. Maybe they'll change it and they'll be like, let's adapt.
Well, and here's the thing. They've had to do that every single year. Every single year in the middle of the season. Yeah.
Right.
And
it's like every time at the bye.
And it's why the thing that I kind of cling to of what Dan Campbell has said this week is why, he's asked, why are you still optimistic that this team can still win a Super Bowl? His answer was Aaron Glenn. It was like, Aaron Glenn has had to deal with this before. We've lost pieces before on the defensive line, in the secondary, at the linebacker. Like, they've had to adjust on the fly, and I know it always hasn't looked pretty, and it hasn't always produced great results, but he's not afraid to change. And that's a very good quality to have. And it's not easy, and it's not going to be easy on the players to change. If they make some of the changes we were just talking about, like, it's not going to be easy on Levi. It's not going to be easy on Josh Pascal. Those are tough things to put on young players that are really just starting to come into their own, unfortunately, only to say, hey, now you got to do this too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough transition, but I mean, let's be honest about the situation. They've lost 3 starting edge rushers in 6 weeks.
Right.
There's growing pains that have to happen. Anyways, Joshua Mercer, 100-bit says they are 20,000 channel points for a listcast. I have 2K. I can promise you I wouldn't say it if it isn't true. If you can't do it, though, yeah, unfortunately, there isn't anything I can do other than do your listcast. I don't remember I remember you saying that you had one. I never saw what it was. So if you want us to still do a listcast, or maybe you want to save it for the PUD cast, we can try to do it. But literally, there's nothing I can do about channel points right now. While I wait for your answer, bunch of questions coming in from YouTube and Twitch. I lost the one I was going to answer. Oh, there it is. Combat Sack asks, do you think Ben Johnson passed his job interview last year for the head coaching role for Dallas next year? No.
No, I don't think he'll ever go to Dallas.
I mean, he could. I
love it. I love the idea. I just don't I think there are certain spots he's not going to want to go.
Here's the
Dallas
thing.
Is one of them.
I think the idea that like there are coordinators who are like, I'm not going to take this job. I'm going to take this job next year. That's not a real thing. I don't think that's a real thing. You could say like, hey, I'm just not a fit in any of these jobs this year. But like going down the line and saying, I'm just going to wait for the Dallas job to open up. I really don't think that's a normal thing that people do because situations change so much year to year. Right. Your own situation, Dallas's situation. You don't know that Dallas is going to tank this year. They've been 12-5 3 straight years. If they're 12-5 again, I'm not sure they get fired. Now, if they're 12-5 and losing the wild card, maybe they do. I don't know. But I just think that idea that coordinators wait for a very specific job is more or less not a real thing. That's too.
I do think they wait for a job there are some that will wait for a job that fits them though.
Oh, great.
I think
100%. I'm just saying targeting like I will only take the whatever job, fill in the blank, the Patriots.
If that was the case, it would have been Carolina, where he's from, where he played college. He's got family there. Like that one seemed to make the most sense. And when he, said no to them, that really made me think, okay, look, he's got young kids. He's got roots here. There's incentive for him to come back and keep stability. His wife was pregnant. Like there's a lot of incentives. Again, 2 years ago during the Panthers one, but like the family life factors in, right?
Now he's
like,
grounded
it
here,
really
right?
Does. Yeah, 100%. Like I can't imagine having, 2 young kids, a pregnant wife, and then taking a head coaching job and thinking like
across the country.
That would, unless you're going to like a Carolina where you have family and you have people you can trust and like. That's all part of it. Like now, again, that's just me and my like imagining it. I'm sure people make those decisions all the time, but it's there's Ben. I'm sure Ben gets paid quite handsomely to orchestrate what he did last week, and he's still going to be a coveted coach. He's
no question.
I don't think people are ever going to really like back off of him. I know like that happens.
Washington might.
Like, Washington, whatever. I think there are certain teams that are put off by him, certainly, but I also think he don't care. Like I don't think he liked it there. I don't think he liked the fit. I don't think he liked the fit in Carolina. I don't think he would like working for Jerry. Because he's not a puppet, which is what Jerry wants, apparently. Wants puppets as coaches, puppets as radio hosts. That's all he wants. Puppets. If I pay you, you do what I want. Yes. Way to completely disregard the fact that your program is nothing more than propaganda. Like, who's going to tune into that radio show when it's like, I'm only going to get to hear what Jerry wants me to hear? How is that entertaining?
It's not.
It's not. It's not.
Every single Cowboys fan I've seen talk about what happened in that radio interview this week, and if you haven't seen it, it's basically 2 radio hosts fairly trying to hold his feet to the fire, saying like, why didn't you guys do more this offseason? That was a storyline everyone was aware of, right? Like they were the last team to sign any sort of free agent, and it happened like 2 weeks after free agency started. And so they were just asking him very fair questions about that, and Jerry Jones melted down and said, this isn't your job.
I don't pay you to ask me hard-hitting questions. Yeah,
and if you keep asking questions like this, I'll find someone else to do your job. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. And yeah, so every Cowboys fan I saw react to it was like, those were fair questions. Jerry Jones is out of his freaking mind. And also like they've never seen Jerry Jones like that. Like this is him flailing right now.
Did you see him ask when he was asked about if he was going to fire his head coach? Did you see that interview?
Well,
when he was like this,
yeah.
He was this close to the guy,
right.
And he looked at the guy and went,
"Yeah.
Do you think I'm stupid?"
Yes.
And he waited for the guy to answer. I thought it was rhetorical. I wouldn't have said anything either. And he's like, "Do you? And I'm like, "Oh my god, dude, have some perspective." But I mean, whatever. Yeah. I guess when you're a billionaire, you can do whatever you want, right?
Yeah, an 80-some-year-old billionaire.
Yeah. There you go.
But yeah, like those kind of things matter too, right? If you're Ben Johnson and you see that interview,
no way.
At least if I'm I'm just like, you know what? Flea flickers in Detroit. I'll take that instead. Yes, flea flickers in Detroit. I'll take that over working for Jerry Jones.
The last Dallas coach that wasn't a puppet was Bill Parcells, and that's 20 years ago. Every other one. I can't even think of another Dallas coach that has not been a puppet since Parcells. They're all just like, it's terrible. I would never. And I think Ben is very conscious of
I would think
the owner he's going to be working for.
Subron, they give her the follow over on Twitch. Joshua Mercer says it was about baseball just to bug you. Well, now I feel bad that I didn't address it until now, and baseball season is over in Detroit.
Womp womp.
If you have another one, you have a freebie, okay, Josh? At any point, if you want to ask one, you got a freebie.
Top 5 flea flickers of all time.
I'd still do it. I'd bite my tongue and I'd do it. T-Skog, but don't give him ideas. What are you doing? 4 months subscribed. Thank you, T-Skogs. Joshua Mercer, another 100 bits, says during the division series, ranking the teams you would choose to win the World Series if it couldn't be the Tigers. Ryan was on stream too. Yeah, I think this is the wrong stream for that. Plus, it was during the division series, and now we're in the AL/D. Wait, AL/NLCS. There we go. I'd take that job in a heartbeat. Pay me millions to be a puppet. Okay, fair.
Here's the deal. You can get paid millions to be a puppet, or you can get paid millions to do a different job. It's not like he's not going to make millions. Okay, like he's already probably making.
I think that was more of a me sitting on the side of the street. Of course, I'd take $1 million.
Oh, sure, I would too. But like, I understand that. But yeah, I for Ben, no.
Chargers want Bosa. I don't believe that to be true.
Hey, what was I saw someone calling you a cheater. I don't know what that was about.
Oh,
what were you cheating at?
That's when I mentioned the Tim 20 Men podcast. They're saying
why is that
I'm cheating on this podcast.
Yeah,
because it's a running joke because of the Monday Football Morning or Monday Football Monday podcast I was doing. Anytime I mentioned it, Ryan would get very salty and that I was cheating on the POD cast.
Got it.
Yeah,
I don't care. You can go on another podcast. It doesn't bother me. Good job.
Thank you. Shout out to Tim. That was the first time I got to be in that that recording room that you see all the player interviews like on Fox and stuff. It's a neat little room. Coming out on Friday, I think so. If you're looking for it. I can't say anything else about it. Or maybe I can. No one told me I couldn't say anything. But he's been doing the rounds, which is cool. Like all the beat guys have been doing that show. So I was honored to be part of that group because I think we talk about it every now and then. Like there's a little bit of like traditional media us.
Sure.
Doesn't always feel like we're aligned. You know, we're the ones on the end of the media row in the press box. Got traditional media towards the 50. We're in the end zone. This is me complaining about doing my dream job. It's not relatable and it's unbecoming. I understand.
But like there's, I get that. I get it.
I'm not even
we're
that.
not last we're not last in line, I know that much, but
It's true. And to be
close.
fair, like the Lions have given us everything we've ever wanted. I'm not at all complaining. I mean, I am, but mostly jokingly so. Anyways, they should name that recording room the Reisman recording room instead of the other one. No, that is One Pride Productions room. No, we do sit in the same press box. It's just it's a long row of seats, and more traditional medias towards the 50 were towards the end.
I don't even think it's that far. I think it's
not. It's like they're the 30.
30. Yeah. But some stadiums, like when we were in LA, we were like starting the bend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, yeah. San Fran, we were kind of like that too. Not quite, but close. Yeah.
It just depends on the stadium. LA, LA is very much we're in the corner. Tampa, we're in the corner.
Minnesota, or is it Chicago? One of them. I know.
Chicago, you're in the corner for sure. Because Chicago's terrible at everything.
Chicago sucks. The stadium sucks.
I'm not sure I would ever. Well, no, that's not true. I should go to Soldier Field one time, just because it's drivable.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not eager to cover a Lions game in Chicago.
Well, making it more fun it's December 22nd.
Yeah, I'm not going this year. Sure as hell not going this year. I think my only away game is going to be Indy this year, which feels wrong. I feel like I should do something else, but I'm not going back to San Francisco. That place is cursed.
Well, I'll go to the NFC Championship game. That'll be the one I go
in Detroit.
No, I don't think it will be in Detroit. I think it might be somewhere else.
What?
Maybe.
Who is this man? I thought
Neutral Field, maybe.
Titans is at home.
Look, NFC's interesting. It's very
Houston
interesting.
Is the one I should go to. That game's gonna be great.
Sure, but I mean, Dallas is a bit of a. It's not really schedule easy,
It is a Sunday night game too. That makes
those are
a pain in the butt.
Bears to get home from. Yeah, holy cow.
Did Dan seem nervous at the podium to you? No, I don't think so. I didn't get any weird vibes from him today. Oh, he was. Oh, so the only weirdness was something got stuck on the bottom of his shoe. Did they show that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. That was weird, but I don't think that was a nervousness thing. Like there was just something stuck on his shoe, and so he got distracted for like 10 seconds trying to get something off his shoe.
I have not taken the train to Chicago, but I know there is at least one other beat writer that I know that does that.
Oh yeah,
which is interesting. It's an interesting angle. I wonder how.
I've never done that before.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't want to be outside in Chicago on December 22nd with the holiday a couple days away and freezing cold, and that doesn't sound very fun.
Very true. JT Sam 20 bits says thoughts on the nickname Detroit People Mover for the offensive line. I think it was made by Brian Baldinger. Also, scale of 1 to 10 on Sonic and Knuckles nickname for Monty and Gibbs. I think Monty and Gibbs' Sonic and Knuckles is like a 9.5 out of 10. It's great. I think the personalities even fit a little bit. Maybe not so much with Gibbs, but I feel like David Montgomery as Knuckles is perfect. It's utter perfection. I think Gibbs needs a little edge to him, a little like smarminess. Cause I don't know. That's the way I've always pictured Sonic. I haven't watched any of the movies, but like he's a guy they'll kick your ass and then deliver a one-liner, like that kind of smarminess. And Gibbs isn't that yet. You don't know anything about Sonic and Knuckles.
No. I played like the OG Sonic.
Yeah, same.
But that's like it. Like I didn't play. I was done with it by the time the Knuckles stuff came around. I haven't watched the Knuckles movie, even though I have kids. I watched the first Sonic movie with my kids, but I don't know. I it's a little bit just a tick out of my range.
Yeah. If Gibbs trash talk a little bit, I think he would be a perfect Sonic. Some people are saying Sonic is Tails or Sione Vaki is Tails. Sione Vaki is Tails, I think would work. Traditional media doesn't break down personalities of Sonic and Knuckles like this. You damn right they don't.
Did you see NFL post the Brian Branch Defensive Player of the Week? And it was a picture of Aki.
No, did they?
Yeah.
And they deleted it and had to repost it?
They deleted it, yeah.
Oh, no.
I was like,
NFL,
oh, that's rough.
NFL.
Yeah.
That's an all-pro you're messing up at this point.
Mm.
Isn't it cool though that the line, like I pointed it out in the article, but like, isn't it cool? 6 weeks into the season, the Lions already have an offensive player of the week, a defensive player of the week, and a special teams player of the week,
and a player of the month,
and the player of the month. Who's all four of those are different people. Mm-hmm. The Lions should have a player of the week in 4 straight games. They do have in 3 straight games, but for some reason
might get it in 4 too.
Yeah. Who would you pick? If you had to pick right now who could win offensive, defensive, or special teams player of the week against the Vikings, who is it going to be?
Well, based on that Pittsburgh wide receivers comments, I'm going to go with Amon-Ra because I think Amon-Ra just needs a little bit of fuel to get his rocket going. And I have a feeling he's going to be.
Should I ask them about him tomorrow? Ask him about that tomorrow?
Oh, throw some coals on that fire. Absolutely. So Amon-Ra.
Who was the Steelers guy who I saw the video? I don't know who it was.
It's Pickett or something. Not Pickett. That's
George Pickens.
Quarterback. Pickens. Thank you. I believe that's what it was. Yeah.
So he called him a
slot merchant. He said a slot merchant that was a product of the scheme. I would be interested to see a retort.
All right, maybe I'll poke the bear tomorrow. We'll see.
Video it. Don't just do a record. Hit the video button because it will go nuts.
I don't do that though. I don't. First of all,
the video part.
Yeah, you know why I don't? Because I don't care if I go viral on Twitter. I don't care. It doesn't do anything for me.
All right, do it for me. Send me the video. I'll post it, and then because I think it's fun.
Rake in the fake Twitter money.
Got to catch my wife.
Shout out Laura Schlitt, who had a 15,000 liked tweet on Sunday.
Oh no,
it's more
over
now?
27,000.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna see what it is right now.
We got to pull. Yeah. We've mentioned it, so now we need the people to see it. Laura Schlitt, of course, is there.
Oh, 27 or 25,000. 25,000. It's kind of it's settled at. What? Insane. Do you want me to send it to you?
No, I got it.
So you can put it up. Okay.
It's already up.
Okay.
25K and 1,000 reposts. That's crazy. If you can't read it, it says "Happy Birthday, Jerry Jones" up here. I know it's kind of small in text. You can certainly read the rest.
People were. Look at all those bookmarks. Those are people that are just going to steal the meme. Like that's what those bookmarks are.
100%.
But people were taking a screenshot of her saying "Happy Birthday," and then. You know how you can extract like a part of a tweet and then you can make a picture and then you like put it on that picture and then you repost that picture with somebody's tweet on. People were posting on like Instagram and stuff like that, like a picture of Jerry Jones all mad with like Laura's happy birthday part. Like,
yeah, so, people are just screenshotting it and then posting it on their own.
Yeah. And then Laura's friends were screenshotting that and sending it to Laura and being like, oh my God, you're on my Facebook Instagram page right now. Exactly. Like it was all over the place.
How jealous are you right now that she has a more popular tweet than you've ever had?
No, I have one more popular than that. But because she made me check. She made me check. She said, "Have you ever had a more popular?"
How do you even check? You just knew of a tweet that you had, and you're like, "Let me go find this tweet." I know it outdid this.
I did know of this one because it was just from January. It was when Barry Sanders and JJ Watt interacted, and I kind of like took
yeah.
and
We wrote a story on it.
that
right?
one hit like yes, yeah, because that hit like 30,000 likes or something like that. Like that was nuts. So yeah, I ended up writing a whole article on that story because I saw how that like took off, and I was like, okay, people are interested. But when she first had this idea to post this, I was also I was making my own meme that I thought was very clever. And and mine.
Do we need to pull this one up too?
Oh, it's gonna look terrible. Great. And so I posted mine. I liked mine. But I was also like watching the game, trying to post a funny meme, trying to pay attention to all the things that are going on. And then she asked me, "What do you think of this?" And I was like, I don't get it because I wasn't like paying attention fully.
Right.
I thought, and so she was like, well, I'm going to post it anyways. And so then like, I think I figured it out. When it came across my timeline, I was like, oh, I get it now. That's very clever. But like at first she was feeling like kind of disappointed because like, I didn't like say, oh, that's funny. Cause she thought it was funny. And obviously 25,000 people do as well. But I didn't get it at first, and so I kind of like I felt bad for her. Like I didn't fully support her as much as I should have. But I mean, like that's at like what 3,000 or something.
2.9 thousand likes to 166 retweets. I don't know. It's not bad.
I guess hers is better. Hers is what? 8 times better than mine.
I was confident my happy birthday to you post was going to do a funny one too, and it did pretty good. It didn't do those numbers. And listen, it's not a meme, right? It's literally just the most upsetting picture I could find of Jerry Jones singing happy birthday to him. Listen, 2.1K. That's fine. But that's from the Pride of Detroit account. It should do better than that. Anyways, this segment has turned into us complaining about how good we did on Twitter and where we sit in the press box.
This was about
oops, the wrong one.
Laura had a good idea and went viral. And yeah, she nailed it. I learned a valuable lesson. I should have paused everything to pay attention because she nailed it and I missed it.
That's a good question. I don't remember what my ESPN Plus tweet did. It was.
Oh yeah, people hated that one. Or people loved it because they hated ESPN.
Yeah.
That's a great one. I remember that one took off like crazy.
Anytime I tweet about ESPN Plus, people get it does well because people hate it. Wow, 101,000! Holy crap! That is way more than I expected. Very simple tweet. Still blows my mind that an ESPN Plus subscription doesn't give you access to ESPN. 6,000 retweets, 101,000 likes. It's probably my most liked tweet. I don't really pay attention to that sort of stuff. I just kind of live in the moment. All right. Any other questions before we jump back into the show? This has become a very self-absorbed segment, and I can't take it anymore.
There
are a couple alerts too.
Okay.
Ash Carr, thank you for the 22 months. Says Vikings have to fall off at some point, right? Well, they're not going to go 17-0. They're not that good of a team.
It's already started.
It's already started. You care to explain?
I think I mentioned it a little bit to you the other day, and you were very dismissive that I was dealing with too small of a sample size, but I think the last 6 quarters for their offense have not been what the first few games were. I think the offense is I've been saying the offense is going to level. It will level off. Water will find its level with them.
Well,
I feel like they are going to they're not going to produce as well as they have been. And then what's one of the biggest things that like people talk about with like the defense, like obviously disguise and all that stuff, but one of the things that they're talking about like turnovers. My goodness, they're so good at turnovers. Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. They're not as good at turning the ball over as the Lions are right now. Their plus minus is 0.8. The Lions is 1.4.
Okay. That's takeaways minus giveaways.
Yeah.
They have more takeaways though.
They have 3.4 takeaways. Lions have 2.4 takeaways. But they also give the ball up 2.6 times a game. Right. The Lions give the ball up once a game. So like, yes, their defense is producing more turnovers than the Lions defense, but their offense is also turning the ball over. They fumble the ball a ton.
I'll say this.
They fumble the ball twice a game.
I think
twice a game they fumble the ball. One of them goes to the other team. I'm going to keep going because this is going to be one of my keys to the game. Because everybody's like, oh, the turnovers, the Vikings turnovers. Yeah, look at the numbers. They're worse. They're worse than the Lions.
But here's the part where I'll agree with you. I think their offense isn't as good as their points per game suggests. Because I think a lot of that is being fed by their defense, right? Mm-hmm. Like Van Ginkel has 2 touchdowns on his own.
They have 2 touchdowns. The offense has scored 1 touchdown in the last 6 quarters. The defense has scored more touchdowns than the offense has.
I'm with you there. Like I think their offense has I won't even say room for regression. I think they're just not a top 10 offense. That said, and part of that is because they can't run the ball, and that's especially true if they don't have Aaron Jones. And Aaron Jones didn't practice this week, today. Not this week. That's a huge deal. Huge deal. And I'm not just saying that because apparently I'm an Aaron Jones stan, according to Ryan.
I love Aaron Jones. I've talked about this. Aaron Jones follows me.
You know what? Now this is all starting to make sense. He follows you. I didn't know that part of the equation. No wonder
I told you this. When he was in college, I loved his game. Yeah.
And you were tweeting about it. And he's like,
McCaffrey. Yes.
This guy's gassing me up. I better follow him.
But I was trying to set up an interview, like a pre-draft interview with him as well. And so like we had talked, we had communicated. I loved him. It was McCaffrey and then it was Jones. That was like, I was like, boom, boom. I might have had one other guy in there, but Jones was like my number 3, if at worst. Like I loved his game. And I'm a bigger stan than you are. You just talk about him a little bit more, I think.
That's probably true. Quick sidebar, because you mentioned trying to interview him in college. The other day, I was looking there was that clip of Max Crosby talking about the Detroit Lions, either this offseason or last offseason, about how much he loved them or whatever.
That was a podcast.
On a podcast. Yeah. I was searching for that article that we wrote on Pride of Detroit. I couldn't find it. What I did stumble upon is an article on Pride of Detroit, an exclusive one-on-one interview with Max Crosby at
pre-draft.
Yeah, pre-draft at Eastern or Central.
Eastern,
that's right. And I'm like, I have absolutely no recollection of this. I certainly didn't do it, and I didn't. It was Mansour. But I'm like, oh, that's fun that we did an interview with Max Crosby 6 years ago or whatever it was, 8 years ago. Anyways,
we did an interview with Aiden pre-draft as well.
True.
Me, you, and Ryan.
That's right. Anyways, back to the Vikings offense.
Yeah, I got more crap to talk. Let's go.
Sure you do. But like I think they're 20th in run offense DVOA. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And listen,
I got it right here.
There you go. I do think their pass offense is going to continue to be in the top 10, and I'm not saying like Sam Darnold is him. He's turning around his career. I think it's simply a Kevin O'Connell thing.
And
Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson thing. Like that offense was moving the ball with Nick Mullins last year.
Sure. Sure.
That's all I need to say. Like that, they're going to be able to move the ball this year, but they're also not like this crazy explosive offense because they don't have 300 passing yards in a game yet.
Yeah, and they turn the ball over.
And they turn the ball over.
Right? Like, this is not the here's the scary thing when you look at DVOA. Their passing offense is 7 and their run offense is 20. But their defense is so good that they are still the number 1 team. That's how good they are on defense, right?
Yeah.
Like the Lions are number 2 but everything's in the top 12. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're good across the board.
Yeah.
Whereas the Vikings are just super, 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 super good in one area. But there's also, if you can figure it out, if you can find out how to beat it, they've also faced it twice in the last year. They understand how the scheme works.
Were good both times, right? Yes. They hung 30 points on the Vikings both times. They did not throw any interceptions in both those games. They were only sacked a total of twice in those games. But everyone, like, they're different this year. They're different. Like, it's the same scheme,
they have more, but better talent.
Added more. They have more
5
talent.
New starters.
And in the same way that this coaching staff talks about, well, this is the offense's 4th year. We're in offense, 401. They're in defense 201. That's a big jump for a lot of players. So
sure,
the defense,
but they've also, like I said, they have 5 new starters, too. So
yeah. So I don't think the defense is going away. Will they be as dominant? The one thing I'm very curious about is the run defense, because statistically it's all there, but at the same time they've jumped out to 2-score leads in every single game. Every single game, and in the last couple, it's been 3-score leads. So the other teams
what
are
happens when that
abandoning
goes
the run.
away?
Yeah,
what happens when that goes away?
Who knows?
Because the offense isn't scoring. Because the offense is turning the ball over. Because the offense has scored 1 touchdown in 6 quarters. When that goes away, defense has to change.
They've faced the fewest amount of rushing attempts in the league, and part of that is admittedly a little bit skewed because they've already had their bye. But at the same time, what do they do to a team that tries to run the ball 20 times in the first half?
They lose.
We'll see. Maybe.
They run cover 2. I'm sorry. They run a variations of cover. Different cover. They run all the different cover 0, cover 2.
This is quality
turn
content.
Turn it on.
No,
because
we'll
do just unpause the record. And
the recorder is technically
go.
still running, but
right, well,
now I've ruined the momentum by acknowledging that it's not part of the.
No, is there a question about this? Do we have a question about this? Because
we have we have a question about their defense. We have questions.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna
stop then. Let's start ranting later.
Okay.
Let's jump back in because.
Okay, sure. The magic is gone. I'm sorry. Are you laughing at Eric? Why are the Vikings fake ass frauds?
Yeah, it's very good. Very good.
Nautican, thank you for the follow and then also for subscribing. Hold on. Have you been a subscriber for 3 months, but you just now followed? Because that's what it looks like. Unless that's what's happening, or maybe you accidentally unfollowed.
I think I subscribed for 20 months before I followed. Believe it or not, because I didn't. Yeah. So totally
anyways,
normal.
Nautican, thank you for 3 months. Who says won't happen, but watching Trayvon Walker and Hutchinson compare arm length together would be hilarious. That would be fun. But yeah, we've talked Trayvon Walker a couple times, and while it's a fun thing to think about, and obviously Jacksonville's in a lot of trouble right now, when you're thinking about hitting reboot on a franchise or firing your coach or whatever, turning the page of a bad chapter in your franchise's book, you don't give away your young pass rushers. That's one of the few things you hang on to, especially if they're on a rookie contract. So the idea that the Jaguars, who I understand you're in a rebuild, you want to maybe trade away your valuable parts to restart. The best possible scenario of trading away Trayvon Walker is to get a draft pick where you can draft Trayvon Walker. Like, you don't, and I understand what he's got 2 years left, or I guess he only has 1 year left if he's in Hutchinson. He's obviously in Hutchinson's class. So either way, I don't think Trayvon Walker's going anywhere. All right, we're caught up. Do you want to just jump in? You're clearly searching something right now. What?
I was searching Jacksonville's pass rushers. That's just real fast, just to make sure I didn't overlook something.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay. All right, we're going to get back to the show then. So we're going to do one question that's not Minnesota related, and then the rest of the podcast is going to be Minnesota related. So the Aidan Hutchinson part is mostly done. Josh, I just switched over. All right, let's knock this out. Joshua 100 bits and also channel points saying list cast the top 5 potential impactful special teams plays that could lead to a win for the Lions on Sunday. Can't be a normal field goal.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I'm going to openly admit I don't know any pieces that Minnesota has on special teams. I don't know who the returner is. I haven't gotten that far.
He's just, it's plays, not players, right? Plays.
Sure.
So like, what are things that could happen on special teams?
Okay.
Essentially.
All right.
Like,
Khalif Raymond punt return, touchdown. Start with that.
Test him.
A couple weeks ago, Phipps said, like, it feels like he's just a block away or a missed guy away. So I'll start with that. I'm going to say kick return touchdown, but the Lions take a play out of the Cowboys book and they're like, oh, we can just fake a reverse every time? Yeah, let's do that. And so now the Lions are going to start kick returning every time with the fake reverse every single time.
Why not?
Their kicker is perfect. I do remember that. They got a rookie kicker. He's perfect. How about let's make him not perfect and force it
off the right upright.
No.
Call your shot.
No. Field goal block. Returned for a touchdown.
Who blocks it?
DJ Reader.
Dorsey.
I'm going to ask
the middle.
I'm going to ask Phip about this next week.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because there's this new strategy, if you haven't seen. I think it's happened each of the past 2 weeks. Where
you like hold the center and
you hold the center, like two guys hold the center down and someone jumps over him.
Yep.
And that's currently not against the rules.
Right. Because if you jump over the center and you hit the center as you're jumping over him, it's a penalty.
Well, and here's the thing too. You're not allowed to run up and jump over. You have to be on the line to jump over a player.
Right.
You can't run. Right. And so who's a guy that has the athleticism to play the interior, but also the speed and agility to jump over?
You need a linebacker. You just need who's got ups. So here, we'll look it up.
Well, how about a Brian Branch? Let Brian Branch do that.
Malcolm Rodriguez's vertical is 39.5.
Malcolm's a good one. Malcolm punt. Malcolm field goal block.
James Houston's vertical is 39.
No, he's not going to be active. He might be
on special teams. Yeah, Malcolm. Boy, Malcolm's going to have to get up there in a hurry because the length isn't there. Oh, that was mean. That was mean. That was very mean.
Barnes would be exactly what you're describing. Andrew, why you got to bring us down, Andrew?
Josh Pascal's vertical is 37.8. Woo.
Van Ginkel is evil Anzalone. I kind of like that. The hair.
Jack Campbell's vertical is 37.5.
That's 3.
I tell you what, it's not going to be Alex Anzalone.
He can't jump. White man can't jump.
Yeah.
What other special teams plays are? Oh, fake punt.
Tavaki.
Direct snap or pass?
Oh, it's you put it ball in Jack Fox's hands. 100%.
But the direct snap has worked They do it more often.
Yeah, but
And it's
when
worked
you
each time.
direct snap, first of all, it's not going to be Baki. It's going to be Jalen Reeves, Maben, and then you have to mitigate the blocks in front of you to try and get it.
Yeah.
If you run Vaki out like they did last time, he's got 15 yards like before it's you get yards and you don't have to worry about blockers. And if Vaki gets in the open field and he doesn't have that guy leaning on him, look
Hold
out.
on. I'm gonna make this my number one, and it's going to be the ballsiest thing that Dan Campbell has ever done.
Ooh.
The Lions are up 27-24. It's fourth down. 2 minutes left. Vikings are out of timeouts.
I have an idea.
They're on their own 35-yard line. You fake punt it.
Oh, that's
Your offense didn't do the job. They didn't put it away. You fake punt in your own zone, up 3 points with 2 minutes left to put the game away.
I got one. But I
Okay.
might like a little better. Setting up for a field goal. Fake field goal. Jack Fox throws to Dan Skipper.
No. I
Little
want
peel out.
nothing to do with that. You know how long that play would take? No.
Realistically, it would go to Brock Wright. But
Yes. That makes more sense. Like, Brock Wright's not going to break out free. He's not going to slip by everybody.
you Skipper? Skipper might.
Skipper.
All I have to do with Skipper is you just gotta throw it at about 10 feet in the air.
It's just a goal line fade to Dan Skipper.
Yeah. He's 6'10", man. He's 6'10".
Yeah, check his vertical, Eric.
I will. All right, old Danny boy.
All right, I think that's your list cast worthy.
26.
26 centimeters, millimeters.
26 inches is not that high.
I'm Narmo. Thank you for subscribing over on YouTube. And Josh Mercer 100-bit says, I'd lose my damn mind if Dan Campbell does that, Jeremy. Yeah, that would piss a lot of people off, especially if it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Enough shenanigans. Let's get back to the show. Close this thing out. You're welcome, Joshua. Thanks for the 100 bits. Welcome back to the Midweek Mailbag, closing things out here with more of your Detroit Lions questions. Always a good reminder, if you have any questions, you can send it to us anytime just using the hashtag AskPOD on Twitter. Be on the lookout for our calls for questions either on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. But let's get to it. Old Christopher, as most people would probably say, asks, talk about Terrion Arnold. What a game on that stage. Also with Cowboys, they had to throw a lot during the game to catch up. Yeah, let's talk about Terrion Arnold. I think a lot of people have referred to the Cowboys game as his best yet. I actually think the week prior was a little bit better than this one. I thought, he gave up a couple early catches in this Cowboys game and things. To his credit, he was a lot better in the second quarter and beyond. But he's starting to turn a corner, right? Like that's a thing that's happening.
Yeah, I think he's, so many people got caught up on the penalties and because they're costly, right?
Sure.
But we've talked about this previously, how like those are correctable. And as long as he starts, being more conscientious with hand placement, turning his head, stuff like that, like he has all of the skills and he positions himself as well as anyone. I think if you're a PFF guy where you're like, oh, I'm going to look at PFF and use their qualifications to judge him, you're going to be disappointed because I think PFF's still kind of down on him. But I think watching him and watching his progression, you certainly should come away impressed, or at least I have come away impressed. And so he has all of the skills, and you're starting to see them unfold, get better, correct mistakes. Those are all starting to happen in front of your eye. Is he perfect? No, but is he getting there? Yeah, he's working towards it. And I think there's a lot to be uh, optimistic about with his game moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, listen, no penalties against the Cowboys. He has the fourth down breakup, which I think Cowboys fans would argue was pass interference that was uncalled. It's tough. Like, that is such a tough play because he read it. He read it completely, right? He knew where it was going. The guy faked an outside move and then cut inside, and he was all over it. But he's behind the player, so like, how do you make the play? Well, you kind of go over him or around him, and that's what he tried to do, and I think he did effectively in a way that didn't feel like pass interference to me. But that, like, to me, that's always been the trick is being able to find the ball and find a way to get to it through the defender or around the defender or whatever, because he's always in the right place. Like, the very first drive, he gives up that big play to not Turbin, the other guy. I don't know. It wasn't CD, but it was down the sidelines, and like, he's right there, but he turns his head and he kind of he ends up having his back to the play and is not able to make a play, and that's the final step, right? He's got, he's good at, I think, bumping the routes. I think he's good at matching the routes. I think he's good at film study and knowing when he's trying to be tricked. It's just good a matter instincts. Of that great instincts. And it's just that last little piece of, okay, I'm in phase. How can I, where are the signifiers that the ball is coming that way? Can I read the receiver's eyes? Do I have enough time to turn around and find the ball? Do I need to just play his hands? Those are the stuff that naturally come last, because that's what separates, I think, okay receivers from NFL receivers, is being able to mask those things, is being able to catch contested catches, all that sort of stuff. And so that's, to me, Terrion is almost already on the final stage of development. And I know that's an oversimplification. You're always getting better. You're always building your game. But we're starting to see those final steps being added to his game. And I'm not saying, the Lions are going to go shut down Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison this week. That those guys are going to get theirs, first of all, because you're talking about the best wide receiver in the league. But I think you can start to go into these matchups with a little bit more confidence than we did last year, when we had zero confidence that they'd be able to slow a number one receiver, right? Like CeeDee Lamb, he got 70, 80 yards in this past game. It's the first time to me that they've held a truly legitimate tier one wide receiver below 100 yards seemingly in years.
It's going to be interesting in this particular game as well, because historically the Lions have bracketed Justin Jefferson, and they typically have utilized their top corner on him, and then as well as the bracketed coverage as well. And so if you look at what they've done this year, it's kind of mirrored that. Last week with CD, it was, Carlton Davis on him, and then that put Terrion into a lesser level of talent. But if you're going against the Vikings, and you are bracketing with your CB1 Justin Jefferson, well, now you're putting Terrion on an island, and he's going to probably have that island against Jordan Addison, or you know what I mean, or who their other guy is, Jalen Naylor, right? Naylor, right? So if he gets squared up on Addison, it's a tough match, and he'll need to be good. And if he gets Naylor, I think he's just got to wipe him out. You know what I mean? He just has to be better than him, and he has to win his one-on-one all day. If you're going to subdue Justin Jefferson, you have to be able to lock the other side down so that it's not an option. And that's what he'll be tasked with doing this week, is he will have to take care of business so that the rest of the defense can focus on JJ.
Well, this transitioned nicely into the final three questions here that are all about the Minnesota Vikings defense. So we just talked a little bit about the Lions defense going up against the offense. Ash Soden asks, how do you expect the team to account for the hijinks of Andrew Van Ginkel? As someone who really wanted him in free agency to fill the Sam role, I could see him causing us a few issues on Sunday. Yeah, so Van Ginkel is kind of their edge setter that very much does a little bit of everything, right? He can stop the run, he can blitz, He can
Yeah,
pass
so
rush.
Derek Barnes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he drops into
Same
coverage a
thing.
bunch as well. And
Yeah.
and it's so key to what they do too, because he's one of the many guys that they rush up with those 8 guys right up at the line looks, and you don't know. He's one of the guys that you really don't have any clue whether he's going to send the rush or drop into coverage. And a lot of times they send everyone but Ginkle, and Ginkle's the guy that's covering the hot read, right? He's the release valve coverage guy, and that's why he has 2 pick sixes, because 2 quarterbacks have panicked under the rush, gone quickly to their check down guy, not seeing that Van Ginkel was in coverage, and Ginkle takes it the rest of the way. So how do the Lions take him out of the play, or how do they account for him considering all the chaos that he causes?
Well, in the 2 games that Jared Goff has faced the Vikings last season, do you know how many interceptions he threw?
0.
0, right? Exactly. He doesn't panic as much as I think the MO on him says, right? He has the best offensive line in football in front of him, and he's going to have to trust them, and he's going to have to wait to take his shots, and he's going to have to wait for them to uncover, because they will roll that kind of zone coverage into those blitz areas, right? So they run a lot of 2 high safeties, ton of 2 high safeties, like 66% of the time. So 2/3 of the time they run 2 high safeties, but they'll sometimes show a single high safety, and then they'll roll coverage back into a 2 high safety, and they'll drop their linebackers into coverage into the slot areas in which they blitzed. And that's what Van Ginkel does well. So when he sees that blitz coming, he has to just know. And the film work you do this week helps you with that. The film work you did last year helps you with that. But he has to know, if they're blitzing, they're probably rolling a zone into that area, and I have to be conscious of what are my other options. Yep. And so you have to, and they do this a lot. They do this in 3rd and long. They do this whenever they show that cover 1 look. They will roll into this cover 2 and then zone the blitz. In order to offset that, you have to not just have hot routes on your blitz side, but you have to have hot routes on your other side where you know a guy can get open quick. So if they're blitzing opposite Amon-Ra, you have to let Amon-Ra know, I'm probably coming your way, you have to get loose. Or if they're blitzing on Amon-Ra's side, then you have to talk to the other receiver and be like, you just have to like cut it, like Sam Laporta or whoever, right? Because like a lot of times Sam and Amon-Ra are on opposite sides. So then it has to be like, look, Sam, you have to flare or something like that to get open quick.
You have to turn your head.
And so,
right?
Yes, 100%. So they have to go in knowing what are the tendencies that this scheme does. And as much as they want to disguise, there are tendencies to it. There just is. Every coordinator has tendencies. And so with Van Ginkel, he's been very effective because, like you said, quarterbacks have panicked. But I think Jared Goff has done a really good job of not panicking. And so you have to be conscious, if they're going to bring it from that side, Van Ginkel's a guy, you have to have the answer on the left, and he's usually on the right side of the offense. You have to have a quick answer on the left side, and you have to beat your one-on-ones. You beat your one-on-ones, that's how you beat the disguise zone blitz.
Two points I want to make. One is that I asked Jared Goff kind of about this today of, okay, how do you tell in the fractions of a second that you have when to use your hot route versus knowing that they're baiting you into trying to throw to your hot route? And he said it's kind of threefold. It's, like you said, research beforehand. It's doing all of the film work, the tendency work, all that sort of stuff. It's at the snap. It's before the snap. It's setting up everything that you see, setting up your hot routes, and then it's the fractions of a second after the snap is diagnosing. It's not easy, but like it's a lot of very short decisions made in a short period of time, and it's not easy. But here's the other point, and it leads to my other point. One is, like you said, the Lions were very good at this last year. The Vikings are better at what they do defensively, but the Lions have proven to be successful against this. And this year, Eric, which team scored the most points against the Minnesota Vikings so far this year?
Great question.
The Green Bay
Packers. Yeah, because they got loose in the second half. Right, because they know
opponent, because they know them.
I was getting there.
And so I think there's something to that, right? I think there's something to you play your division better. You know your divisional opponents better. And listen, that obviously always goes two ways, right? The Green Bay the Vikings are going to play defensively, because what the Lions do offensively is not a secret, right? They've had the same offensive coordinator for 3.5 years, so they know what the Lions like to do, and they're going to try to build their defensive game plan off that too. But I just think there is something to be said that if there is an offense, if there is a team that is going to crack the code, or at least be prepared for what Minnesota is going to throw at them, why not the Lions? The Lions, to me, are the perfect type of team that will be able to build off this, because they did it last year, because they're a divisional opponent, and because Jared Goff is actually, despite being terrible under pressure, he's actually pretty good against the blitz. I know it sounds like that's counterintuitive, but you blitz Jared Goff, like the best way to beat Jared Goff is to beat him with an effective four-man rush, and good luck with that with this offensive line.
Right. So 2 points I want to pick up on this. One, as much film study as they do, and knowing that the Lions are going to run the ball, they still have to stop it. Sure. And that's the hard part about this team, the Lions right now, is they're really hard to stop with their running game, because it's working on all cylinders. Offensive line, running backs, they're all killing it.
Yep.
I also think that one of the reasons they unloaded their trick plays against Dallas is to give Minnesota some food for thought. I think Minnesota is looking at that film going, they just did 8 trick plays. Now I have to prepare for all of these. Now I have to be
almost
conscious.
think it's the opposite, where they're just like, well, they certainly aren't going to do that to us. They got no bullets left in the chamber. Well, let's just play them straight up.
No way. No way. You think if they do, run them again?
Well, yeah, no, I'm with you.
Run them again.
I don't think that's a wise conclusion, because I think Ben Johnson will just. I think he's got an endless bag of tricks.
100%. I would run the Sam Laporta play again.
Careful.
Why not?
Thank you. Don't give it a name.
The pitch lateral pitch 50-yard bomb.
Yeah, that one.
Like that, whatever. Pitch reverse lateral 50-yard bomb. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
And I think you absolutely have to be conscious of that. And so the whole unloading the bag of tricks, I think that was one kind of a take that, Dallas. I don't really care about you.
Sure.
But it's but I also think it was think about this Minnesota type of thing. And so look, I think the Lions match up well against the Vikings. I thought they did last year. We talked about it.
Close games.
Last year, they were close games. The Vikings have gotten better. But let's not mistake so have the Lions. The Lions have. And I know there's missing pieces, and I know there's things that obviously are concerning. But this is still a very, very talented group overall. And I think this has been a game that they've had circled. This was a look, you know how much division opponents mean to this.
I think the Vikings have had this one circled though too.
Certainly.
They got swept by the Lions, the whole TJ Hawkinson stuff from last year. It was a big game for them. I mean, the Lions 100%. Won on their home turf, right? Won the division on their home turf.
But I think again, I think both teams are going to be highly focused for this game. And what I've seen from the Lions this year is that, especially with the last two opponents, is they think they're prepared for what's coming, and they can't stop it. Like, I think like Dallas knew they had to stop the run. Seattle knew they had to stop the run, and they didn't have a chance.
Okay.
Yes, they both had injured defensive lines and blah 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 blah.
Don't blah blah blah. That's a huge factor.
Everyone's injured. Everyone is injured.
But the Vikings aren't. The Vikings are coming off a bye.
Okay.
I mean, they're missing Blake Cashman. That's actually a pretty big deal.
But if you look at the Vikings, if you look at where they do well because of their scheme more than their players. And I know if you ask a Vikings person, they're going to say it's the reverse, that the players are what's making the scheme. No, that's not the way I see it. And they have a whole bunch. Now they're a much deeper team than they were last year, but they have a whole bunch of like good to average defenders. They got a couple of like really nice players on that team. They've got some really good players who are aging, that have like veterans, but like from a talent standpoint, the Lions are in their prime versus those aging veterans. And so the Vikings are talented, but the magic that makes them work is their scheme. And if you can learn their scheme and get conscious of their scheme, and you can understand their disguise, and you have the patience to beat it, you can score points. Sure. They did it the last 2 years. And then from what I'm seeing with the Vikings on offense, I think they're not as efficient as they were in the first half.
Yeah.
I think there's still an opportunity to score points, especially while Detroit's trying to figure some things out. But the Vikings offense is not going to be able to keep pace. They're not near what the Lions offense is, in my opinion.
No, agreed.
And so
especially
we've gone way down the rabbit hole on an Andrew Van Ginkel question. But but there's so many parts of this game. There's so many of this upcoming game that I think favor the Lions that people are just dismissing and overlooking. And yes, Van Ginkel, a guy like Van Ginkel has been very good, and they have other guys that have done very good. But I think the Lions have the horses to offset that.
No, I don't necessarily disagree with all that. I think some of what you're saying is a little dismissive of the talent that they have on the defensive side of the ball. But I do want to. We've kind of covered some of the other questions that I was going to ask through this deep dive, but there is one more regarding the Vikings defense that I want to throw out there, because I think a lot of Lions fans have noticed this and are kind of crossing their fingers that it happens again. This question comes from Alan Hemming, who asks, if I remember, I remember them last year being effective early and then falling off, regressing as the season went on. Is that possible? It could happen again this year. I mean, in one sense, yes, because the only direction they can go right now is down. They're first in everything.
Not on offense.
No,
right? Or is he talking defense specifically? Okay.
Defense specifically. So their defense was really good at the beginning of last year, which I think is true, and then it regressed towards the end of last year, which is also kind of true. Part of that is because they ran into the Detroit Lions 2 times in the final 3 weeks. I think that's a really good offense you have to play, and I mean, you can play the schedule game if you want. You know, they played Houston, but quarterback was knocked out halfway through that game, I think. Yes, you played San Francisco, but they didn't have Christian McCaffrey in that game.
Or I think they're missing Debo in that game too. Maybe it was Kittle, one of them.
Right, and then you look at your other offensive teams, and you got both New York teams. You got Green Bay Packers, who just got Jordan Love back, who wasn't maybe not 100% in that game. And so, you can make the asterisks all you want, but number one defense is still number one defense. They're a legit group. Can they get worse as the season goes on? Yes, but I don't think there's necessarily any rhyme or reason for that. I think what Lions fans are thinking is that teams are figuring them out. They're figuring out this scheme, and then it's not as effective. That is not.
I think it's more about just.
It's regressing to the mean, right? Last year it was regression to the mean because They didn't
I was
have
going
the
to say
guys.
water is finding its level, but I
Yeah,
feel like I've used
same.
that phrase like 100 times. So.
It's the same. I mean, yeah. To me, like, yeah, last year it was they were overperforming compared to their talent level. Now I think their talent level is much closer to where they're performing.
It's higher. Sure.
Is it first overall? I don't know, maybe, but I don't think it's below top 10. Probably not below top 5. Honestly, I think this is a top 5 defense.
I think they're playing like a top 5 defense because they are a team that has depth, and right. and I don't think there's like a weakness, right? Like they have, like I said, I know you think I'm being dismissive, but I think they have average to above average players in a lot of spots. They really lack superstars. They have some really good. They have a couple really good players that are playing at very high levels. Yeah. Cashman being one of them.
Yep.
And again, his loss is going to hurt.
Yep.
Josh Metellus is this jackknife that can do everything. He's great. Like he's a very good player. But their corners have been living on their veteran, skills. Who's running with JMO, right? Like they're not going to be able to. But my point is they're going to offset that by staying in a lot more too high.
Correct.
And then when you stay in that too high to offset JMO, now you're asking somebody to cover St. Brown one-on-one. And if you're trying to get someone on St. Brown, then you're leaving a little bit lighter box. And then you're like the Lions offense is built to basically beat whatever your defense is.
Anything.
Anything. The trick is, and I think you hit it at the top when we started shifting to talk about the Vikings. If you hold their offense in check, and you can keep yourself operating on both run and pass, then you will find success. If you look at the last 2 games, I think they probably were like a 60-40 mix, 60% pass, 40% run. But like they never moved away from the run.
Right.
Like, and I don't think they will. And I don't think they'll need to.
Yeah, as long as they don't fall behind early. And nothing about how this team has played so far through 6 games suggests that they fall behind, right? The Lions have, and notoriously they come out of the gate pretty strong.
Yes. Like 9 out of 10 plays go to Monty, and then you let him run it in the end zone, and you're up 7. Yeah. And it's a unique team in a lot of ways because there are some teams that you can look at and be like, this is who you target, right?
Yeah,
I don't think you can necessarily do that.
Take away their best player. Who's the Lions' best player on offense? And
oh, good luck.
It's Amon-Ra probably,
it's a different guy every week, right?
Yeah, right.
It is, and again, if you're trying to target like Minnesota's best defensive player, it's a fruitless effort as well because of how they play with their disguises and how they shifted their zones. And so you just have to play your game, and you have to have plans for when they get tricky, because they're going to get tricky a lot. They're going to blitz a lot, and you need your offensive line to be ready for anything. And you need your running backs, your blitz protection to be ready for anything. And look, Monty is playing his blitz protection is as good as anyone's in the NFL right now. Like he is an effective. Yeah. Like you watch him like hit somebody, reset his feet and his hands, and then block a second. Like it's not just I'm going to chip you one time. It's like he's setting like an offensive lineman.
Right.
When he it's legit. Like that's not something you see out of backs a lot, and you can see it from him. The Lions have the pieces to put themselves in a position to be successful. And when it comes, if you put yourself in a situation where you're getting one-on-ones, I think the talent level of the Lions one-on-ones are better than the talent level of the Vikings one-on-ones. And I think that's going to be an important piece. You have to get into a spot where you're getting to your one-on-ones and you win them. All
right. We're going to close things out there because our entire chat is like, wow, Eric has me way more confident in this game now. And I think that's a perfect way to go out. So we'll close things out there. We got a full set of podcasts coming your way. per usual, the Purview podcast will be out there, I believe, on the feed on Friday. If you want to join us for the live Madden Sim, that doesn't go on the podcast feed, obviously, because you're watching Madden Sim, but that'll be on Saturday morning. And then because we're back in a 1 o'clock game, Eric, thank the Lord we're back to a 1 o'clock game. We'll be doing the main POD cast Sunday night after the game. So if you want to join us live, or you can just wait for that to show up on the podcast feed Monday morning. But until then, I've been Jeremy and will continue to be Jeremy. That is Eric over there. He'll continue to be Eric as far as I know. Thank you all for listening. It's chaos. Be kind.
Recording stopped.
Okay. We will hang out here for a live audience. A couple more alerts to get through. A couple interesting questions that I want to get to as well. Let me get to the alerts first. We've had a bunch in that. I don't know why you all came late. What have y'all been doing tonight? Is there baseball on or something? Y'all ain't watching baseball. Goopek, thank you for the 21 months. Lord Goofo, what's up, buddy? 29 months says, is it too late to ask about my hypothetical trades? Maybe. Depends who they are. Slim Quick, thank you for the 28 months, says, beating the Seahawks and the Cowboys in back-to-back weeks was cathartic. Finally. For real. I mean, how many... I was almost going to write a PODD article, but I didn't know the best way to, like, research it. How many of, like, these decade-long droughts have we seen put to bed in the past 2 years?
In the last, like, year and a half?
Yeah. Like, it's incredible. And I always like to just think about how 10 years ago, Lambeau Field was this, like, impenetrable force for this franchise.
Do you remember when they couldn't get a 1,000-yard running back? Now they might get 2.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's insanity to me. Like, I remember that like it was just the other day.
Reggie Bush was the only one who had done it before Barry.
Yeah, I remember when Carrion broke it, and we were like, oh my God, Carrion is a god now.
Right.
And he will live in infamy.
Or just like a 100-yard game from a running back.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was so hard to find. Matt Pasenko, 10 months, says 5-1 for both the Lions and the Vikings. Sounds good to me. Hell yeah. Dan Pask, 40 months, says late to the party, but so glad I can make it. Let's go Lions. Appreciate you, buddy. Over on YouTube, Ed O'Neill, $5 super chat, says Green Bay was a drop TD from beating Minnesota, and it turned into a missed field goal by Green Bay. Showed you how to attack them, in my opinion.
And they've gone downhill since. Offense has, anyway.
Minnesota's offense.
Correct.
Austin Bowman asked a non-Lions related question that I think is interesting, and I'm kind of curious to hear your answer. Says, what dream job, sports related, would take you away from Pride of Detroit? For example, an NFL scout, a Fox color commentator, etc.
If I got a front office job with the Lions, we're gone. I will give you my resignation.
Long hours. What if it was a scout, like a literal scout? You got to travel all the time.
That would be much harder.
Yeah,
that would be much harder.
You're talking about more like you want to be at top of the rank. Let me sit in my ivory tower and say, scouts, go to LSU this week.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. If we're talking dream job, just put me in the room with Brad Holmes and let me hang out and help in decision making on. There you go. That's my dream. I'd walk away from that. Yeah, sorry, bud.
I have far less ambition. I mean, honestly, like I've had so much fun in the past 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years doing the multimedia stuff. That's where I'm thinking is like, I don't want to be like a Lions YouTuber necessarily. And I know that I, in essence, am that a little bit. And I'm not trying to say anything negative about the people that do the YouTube stuff and are not full-time YouTube content creators, but I don't have the technical savvy for that, but like I almost want to do something like, all these like food travel shows. I want to do that with football. Does that make sense? Mm-mm. Like I just want to like travel.
You want to be John Madden?
No, it's no. I want to be Anthony Bourdain of football. That's what I want to do. It's like I want to every single year I travel with the Lions, not with them, but I travel to the Lions games, and like I just hang out in that city for the weekend and just like document what I'm doing, document what the city has to offer, talk to fans, things like that, and then I go to the game, and I still do the podcast, but like I'd like to stream almost every day, kind of like Tom Grassi. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what Tom does on like a Monday through Sunday thing, but like kind of that. I know I don't really have the engaging personality, and I'm not as funny as Tom, but yeah, like something like that where I would get away from the daily grind of like, all right, like, the Lions just traded someone, I got to write up 200 words on them immediately. And I understand, like, if I'm a Lions content creator, I'm gonna have to create a video on it, right? Like it's a little bit different, but I don't know. I'm gonna be completely honest though, like I'm pretty damn close to as happy as I could be professionally speaking. Like the only thing that I don't love about the job is the being on 24/7, is the me literally kicking my feet back up yesterday. I was telling you, like I'd been grinding tape all of Tuesday by my, like I didn't have to, but I kind of wanted to. And then I'm like, Eric, I'm stepping away from the computer. I've been behind it all freaking day. I go watch TV for 30 minutes and the Aleem thing drops. And I'm like,
I left you a little joke too, that I tried to alleviate some humor for you.
Anyways, now that I've given away my idea and people in the chat are like, oh, that's actually a really good idea. Someone is going to go out there, steal it, and live my dream. And congratulations to you, because I don't have the I don't have the initiative to try it. But like I said, I am, professionally speaking, very, very satisfied in my life. That portion of my life is filled, if you would say. I will say, like, we've even played with the idea of like becoming a show, right? Beyond just a podcast. You and me, I think we have a good thing going. Becoming a daily show sounds like it would be fun. I don't know if it would be profitable or if it would be work, but you guys seem to like what we do with these mailbags. You like when we pull up the film and break down the film and things like that. I've always wanted to work collaboratively with Eric more and more and more. And so that's always something that we've thought about in the past.
We have lots of ideas. Yeah. Lots of ideas on shows and stuff. It's just the hard part is like you said, with the grind of what we do, it is hard to find the time.
Right. Yeah, because
I think the film stuff's really fun. I'm glad we're starting to tap into that a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's something we'll explore more down the road. But yeah, I don't know. I think what we're like, the stuff that we're doing now, literally right in this moment now, is so good and fun and informative and funny and all that sort of stuff. But like we also, like us two also produce the most content on the website itself, so it's tough.
Yeah.
Miko and Morgan also have a great thing going, Goof, as you point out. He's
I have 17. I have 22 tabs open right now. Of stuff that I need to do. Yeah. I'm behind this week, but yeah, I have.
Well, when it starts with like how many Aidan Hutchinson related articles have you written in the past 48 hours? A crap ton.
Yeah, I had a whole Uku film study that I wanted to do.
Yeah,
I had it up and I was starting to watch. I was starting to watch his film, and then they signed, and then they're making, and it got out of hand really quick. And the last 2 days have just been dealing with stuff beyond our normal stuff.
Yep.
Like for those who don't, I guess, know, or like peeling back the curtain, I guess, a little bit, is like we have a set number of things that we do on a weekly basis, right? And we do those every week, and then we leave a little bit of room for breaking news and content and stuff like that. And we kind of fix that into our schedule. We have been so overwhelmed by the breaking news stuff and like I'm a full day, I feel like, behind where I would like to be. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed with all that we have to do, but we'll the website goes on and the content goes out and it just keeps going.
Yeah.
It's fun, but this has been an exhausting week already because of all this.
After the Cowboys game, I had like a billion things I wanted to write. Like
Yeah.
I wanted to write an article on the Lions trolling the Cowboys on social media, blurring out
Over
the name
and over and
AT&T
over.
Stadium. I wanted to write. I mean, we never wrote an article about Dan Campbell's amazing comments about David Montgomery, like that. He was dropping bars about like, hey, I want to play. Like he's the kind of guy I would want to play. We never wrote that article. That one just like it's one I think, I don't know. It just there's I know I only named 2 things, but there was literally like 4 others. I even wrote out a list in our
there
segment.
was.
I want to do all these things. And like you, I was going to do a film review of like, here's how the Lions produce pressure without Aidan Hutchinson. Here's how they have done it. Here's how they did it in the Cowboys game. Like, this is a really good, like, this is what I want to know. This is what I'm sure a lot of other people want to know. And then the Lions get Isaiah Thomas, and I'm like, I want to know more about this guy. So I'm like, I type in Isaiah Thomas's name into NFL Pro, and then an hour later, I'm like, oh my God, I've watched 70 snaps, all 70,
Mm-hmm.
all of his first 70 snaps in the NFL. I'm like, well,
That's
now
the
I gotta do something on that.
that is the negative side of the new NFL All 22 being so efficient is that it's very easy to go down a rabbit hole. Like it's so good right now. It was so bad for so many years.
I can't. I know we talk about it every week, but I want to show you how much it streamlines the process of getting to know a prospect like that. Like when the Lions add someone I don't know, I'm not familiar with their work. What's the first thing you do as a writer? What's the first thing you do, Eric?
Go to Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. That's a good start. Well, honestly, it's a good start, right? It at least gives you kind of the background of who they are.
Timeline. You get a timeline. Yeah.
Yes. Then what's next? Pro Football Reference. Check out their stats.
Yeah. Like, and I tend to look for, was he a free agent? And so if he was there a write-up on like should we re-sign this guy?
Yeah.
If he's new, more fresh out of college, I tried to look up what was his draft profile like and try and re-jog my memory on stuff like that. But yeah, I have like it's and then you want to get to the film, and in the past, getting to the All 22 has been always hard. So you've been almost relegated to like highlights, like you Twitter search him, and then you're like, oh look, I found his 1 sack in the preseason. Like,
right.
What are you going to learn from that? Right.
Exactly. Yeah. You throw it into your post because people are like, oh, look, here's a play that he did that was good. You look at his PFFs, but like you also look at his PFF scores. You look at his where he lined
stats,
up.
Yep.
Like to me, you look at his PFF grade, and then you look at his snap distribution, where this person played. Was he left guard, right guard, defensive tackle, whatever. But then, like there's no way to efficiently look up their film unless you like, all right, I'm going to go to Pro Football Reference, look at his game log. All right, he had 7 tackles in this game. Let me go watch him in that game. And then you got to go through every defensive snap.
Oh, gosh. Yes.
But now I'm going to show you. Like, this is NFL Pro. I talk about it every freaking week. It's amazing. It's like, it comes with an NFL Plus premium subscription, which I think is $90 a year, maybe $80 a year. You go to Explore All 22. You know that Isaiah Thomas only played in the 2022 season, and then you literally type in his name. And every single play he's played where he's on the field shows up here. And if you want to take away special teams, great. Just click defense. And that's it. Like every single one of his... Wait, why is there only 8? Oh, because I'm in week 6. Every single one of his 157 snaps, I can now watch. And if he made a play, his name's going to be on here. I could also play result. Like, if I want to just watch the passing
you can
attempts.
look for.
I guess that's his passing attempts. So if he gets a tackle, every single play he's gotten a tackle on. All 9 of his tackles there. I want to watch a sack. Boom. Here's the 1 sack he has in his career. Let's watch it. I bet he's coming off the right edge because that's every play he's been on. Boom. That was actually a pretty good move. The one thing I did
that was
notice about
against
him
is
his former team.
That was against
Wait. Okay, yeah. No, his future team.
His
future team.
His future, now former team.
Correct.
Yes.
Anyways.
Knocks on the hands. Easy.
NFL Pro's dope. You guys should get it. That's the long and short of it. I wish I had a coupon code, but I don't. We're not sponsored by them. Not an ad. # not an ad. Anyways. I get so excited talking about it because it's so freaking cool and it makes my job so much easier.
So this is very similar to what PFF used to like build for the teams.
Yes. I've seen the PFF version and it's even crazier than that.
Yeah, and it also costs like 6 figures though, too, or 5 figures. It's like
if
I
you
forget
read
what it is.
A Reef's article.
Yeah,
he wrote about it a little bit.
It's insane how much it costs, but like this is like what the teams have. Like they can just find it. Yeah. ESPN has has a version as well because if you've ever watched Orlovsky, because he gets it from Next Gen, which is like this is basically what Next Gen is used like for.
Yep.
For years, and they've just now kind of unraveled it to us common folk. But it's pretty sweet.
Yep, no question. No, I don't.
I definitely
flickers. How dare you?
How many snaps did Uku have? Like 40? I don't think we could do 40.
Up downs. All right. Nick the Greek 100-bit says, I knew you guys would still be up late gossiping and talking shit. What do you mean? We're not gossiping. We gossiping?
We did in the break earlier.
I don't remember what we said.
No.
If I for this price, you get all 3 versions of the game either the next day or right after the game is complete. Yeah, you can watch the full broadcast right after the game is over. The next morning, you can watch the condensed version, which is like every single play in 40, 45 minutes. And then all 22. And you can watch games live, too. The local games you can watch on your phone for free.
I tend to default to the condensed when I try and stack a couple of opponent games.
Yeah,
because you can do 2 of them in an hour and a half. You know
That's
what I mean?
Exactly what I do. Yeah,
opponents.
I'm not. I don't think I'm going to be able to sit back and watch a Vikings game this week, but I've been keeping a pretty close eye on them anyway. So
I think the fact that we kind of know them and they haven't changed a whole lot is certainly helpful.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen them a bunch like live as well this year for whatever reason. Like,
right.
I feel
yeah,
like that. At least the last 2 weeks.
Well, yeah,
they were on
the
a bye,
Lions,
but the 2 prior, yeah.
The Lions haven't been at the 1 o'clock spot, and the Vikings have. So
right, and they've been. I feel like the local networks have really been just peppering us with NFC North content. Like I feel like that's all it's been. All the other live games, non-Lions games, have all been like NFC.
Yeah,
NFC North, I should say.
A couple people in chat asking about Uku and Nowoski and how they looked. I'll be honest, I got through about 1.5 quarters of my rewatch of the Cowboys game, and then that's when I got sidetracked with everything else. And so I haven't looked.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you fell over laughing.
No. I wish. But so when Uku played the majority of the snaps in the second half. I haven't gotten that far.
I got 45 minutes. Let's go. Put the condensed version on.
Absolutely not. I mean, if I don't mind if you guys want to sit right now and watch some Uku snaps, I'll do that. But we're not going to sit here and watch all 30 whatever of them.
Let's watch. Let's pull it. You can pull it up off screen if you want, but and see. Let's see how many. Well, I was going to say pass rushing snaps he did, but I feel like he probably had a bunch because that's what all they were doing, right?
Can you only look at pass rushing snaps?
Yeah, you can look at just passing, right? You can look at just passing situations. I thought.
I'm not entirely sure how to do that yet because play situation. No. Play result?
All right, now I'm going to go look.
No, that's... Because you can... If I click passing... Oh, wait. Maybe if I just... No, it'll only let me pick one of those. Sorry, I'm doing this off screen, so you guys... All right, so I have Uku selected. These are all 38 of Uku snaps. But I'm looking at the options it gives you on the side here. Defense. Coverage type.
Can't you go down to passing and then just click?
No, because I have to
have to go
have to do Pacific stuff. And yeah. There are some like filtering things that I would change.
We'll short up. How can we narrow this down? Anyway, he had one pressure. I know that much.
Let's only look at the snaps in which the lines were leading. That'll thin it down.
Takes it from 45 to 45.
We could do the second half. You want to just watch? Oh, it won't even let me just do both. That's annoying. Third quarter. Let's watch his third. He's got 12 third quarter snaps. Let's just watch the third quarter snaps.
I need you to
You know what?
I need you to put it on my screen.
All right, where we got
at the right side. Right side, almost always. If I'm not mistaken, like
the
they were
defense
shifting
is right.
Hutch and he's at right D end most of the time. If I'm not mistaken.
So they did have Pascal in Hutchinson's spot already.
Depending on the set, like that's
oh boy, we picked a bad one to start with. Tight end just gets him.
It's just like one of his first snaps, right?
This is the first snap in the third quarter.
Yep.
Hey, but look at him. You know what? He actually gets a hand up there and kind of affects the pass a little bit. Who is that? Is that their fullback?
I don't know. Should say on the side.
That's true, but does he? So wait, does Uko get a hand on that? What happens there?
He's close. Gets knocked down. Gets up. Double teamed.
Oh, this is
still almost. Is that his pressure?
I think does Dak throw it against the offensive lineman's head? Ugh.
Oh, does he not get a? That's where he hit his hand, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there was a flag, so that doesn't even count for him.
To have Uku wide 9 in essentially.
Mm-hmm. He's going up against the first round pick.
Yeah,
that's who he's up against. So
you can see the physicalness, right? Where it's not just he's bending the edge, which is what they want. Probably got away with illegal hands to the face there a little bit.
He gets into his body a little bit more than I would like to see there.
What do you mean by that?
He gets his chest. He's too close. He needs to keep his arm extended and keep his body away from the tackle's body. Now he's just got to set the edge, and he goes out and he does his job.
That's the Brian Branch splits. Is that what that was?
Yeah, it's a fake toss left. So his job is set the edge there, and he does.
By the way, I want to talk about Minnesota crowding the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 guys at the line.
Yeah.
2 linebackers in the A. The line's like, I don't know. This
they
also
ran
felt
the
like
Zimmer
trolling.
Play on Zimmer.
Yeah, that's what I was a couple times they had the
100%.
double A gap thing, and I'm like, are they trolling Zimmer too? Like Zimmer wasn't even there last year.
No, but I think they I wouldn't be surprised if they incorporate some. Look at him. Branch wasn't even he was fake not blitzing, and he still almost got home.
Just
Jesus.
Talk about calling a perfect play call for the perfect time. Like anytime you have a play action
fake toss
rollout,
left, he blitz off the left. Yeah.
Play action rollout that rolls right into a blitz is just like a defensive coordinator's dream.
Yeah.
Dak has. I mean, kudos to Dak for somehow completing that pass. Like that's crazy.
Oh, that's a Carlton injury too.
Oh, was it? This is where he gets kicked in the head, and apparently, what's his injury? Quad.
So he's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
I think Malcolm gets him right.
Yeah.
If that tight end was down, if he stays down instead of getting up and pretending like he wasn't down,
you're gonna blame him for the injury.
Yeah. Carlton doesn't get kicked in the head. 100%.
Aleem. That's not bad value either.
It's good.
Yeah, I like it. He kind of gets held there.
Yeah, he does. left arm hold.
Stupid son.
Yeah.
He just misses the swipe.
That's for sure a hold.
But you can see he violent hands right there. If he connects on a left arm there, I'm gonna slow down. That didn't slow down. Why didn't you slow down?
Maybe he's just that fast.
He's so fast.
Gets him. See, he's still too tight. I'd love to see him extend with his inside arm and then fight the outside hand.
Shout out Kendall Vildor for not pass interferencing there.
Kendall got thrown into a tough spot.
He's a little bit behind there, and you can see there, he's almost, but he avoids touching him there. Now, it also probably should have been caught, but hey, not bad. Not bad. All right, let's move to the next one. This is still going to be in slow-mo. No. All right, so is this Pascal again in the Hutchinson spot? Uku up there. Yep. Sending Malcolm. I forgot to watch Uku. Watch him on the other end.
He just got up. He just got outside. That's about it. Wasn't too much of anything. I really just want his hand placement to get better.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. That's not a bad hook. The stunt? No. I think he just tried to go inside and to get.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the game plan was there. It almost felt like he was trying to take out 2 guys, but there wasn't a stunt.
He just tried to use an inside move.
No, because here you got
it's an inside stunt.
Yeah. And so you got Levi
occupy
coming
the
around
blockers
here.
so you can get the stunt. Yeah, that's not bad.
Is that
almost happened? Almost got there.
That DJ? That is DJ.
I'd rather run the stunt the other way personally, but
it's still. I mean, that's a tiny pocket for Prescott, and I think it affects his throw a little bit. Aleem gets in that passing lane a little bit,
Yeah.
Boo-hoo. Oh, crying got him the flag. I'm going to be honest. I was not paying much attention to the game at this point. It wasn't close, and I'm freaking out about Hutchinson. That's what's happening. Oh, my goodness. That looked painful as hell.
He's going after that dip a little bit better.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to be happy about this kind of getting a little too high though. Like this passing lane here is not great. A rushing lane.
Yeah, but
at the
that
same time,
D-tackle's got to get over. When he does.
That reader?
Eventually.
Reader popping up a little bit. Is this another interior stunt? No, I think it just kind of.
I think it just happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, is that Nowaski?
Yes, that's basically the Sam or the what do we think it was, the X?
Right.
Nowaski gets a tackle.
Sure.
Run him up the field. Field the cutback.
That's a pressure from DJ, I would call it too. Like DJ's getting upfield, makes him have to take a step sideways, almost gets tripped by his own guy, leads him right into Nowaski. That's a good job by Reader. Against that's Zach Martin. Look at that little
Zach Martin. Zach Martin got pushed around.
But I mean, like, we talk about DJ for his run blocking. Like, the agility right here is whoop. Not bad.
You got some juice.
I will not be adding breaking my tibia to the extreme wheel of pain. It's a sensitive question. Is that another double A gap? Hey, shout out to the Pistons. They won. Yeah. Nowaski again. They drop one of these guys, don't they? Nope, they send them both. And then you send a Liam just to create terror.
Yeah, who did a pretty good job of chopping on that one. He'd been dipping, now he chops. But yeah,
this is what I'm talking. This is what the article would have been. Like, they are creating pressure without Aidan Hutchinson, right?
Yeah,
they're finding creative ways to do it, and I do think if this game was any indication, a lot of that is going to surround Aleem. Like, they found several times this game, including this play, I think directly designed to get Aleem McNeil free. That is their goal on this play, is let's send these two guys and curl Aleem behind them. I mean, that's exactly what they do. Aleem curls behind him, and he's got a free shot. Like, mostly free shot. He gets shoved out of the way, but thanks to Ukwu kind of beating his guy, there's nowhere to go for Dak. He has to throw it early.
Weakest part of the Vikings offensive line?
And it's an inaccurate pass.
Interior. The interior.
Of the Vikings, you said? Yeah, because they got Darisaw and who? I don't know.
Brian O'Neill. Yeah, I mean, inside, they're trying to replace Risner, right? They've got Ed Ingram playing. I don't think Ed's that good. Garrett Bradbury's been average. Randall's not good. Like, their guards are not good.
Got a little run defense. Okay. Ukwu getting in there in some run defense. A rare running play in the second half. And it goes nowhere, which is hilarious because the Lions are very much, I'm sure, playing the pass at this point in the game. Like, the game is essentially over. And
so Wingo,
Reader.
And
like, I mean, he just... That's a really good run defense. Like, he's running his guy into the gap.
He is we've watched James Houston last week. Now we've watched Ukwo. Can you tell the difference between the two? There's a difference right now. The physicality is not there with James.
Yeah. This is Tyron Smith. Like, that's a good left tackle.
No, it's
not Tyron.
It's no, that's their they had to shift their left guard. Tyler, right? But he's like, again, he's another first round pick from a couple years back that they like to play at guard, and they shifted him out.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't like that jump outside. You need to stay inside there.
Yep, you're losing a little contain there. That'll fly this week against when
you have a 40-point lead. Oh, it's Sam Darnold, you mean?
Sam Darnold, yeah. Not too worried about Sam Darnold getting
That's
free.
pretty good pin and pull, actually. He just didn't get him to the ground.
You just don't
or
want
a
this.
Push pull.
Yeah. Pretty good
It's not
job. Is
bad.
that Reader again? No, is that 92?
Mm-hmm.
Who's 92?
It's an 8.
Oh, that is an 8.
No, it's an 8.
Look at Reader.
Look at that hold on Pascal.
Let me go back.
He pulled his shoulder blade so far up you could see his neck.
And you know what? Like, Alex Anzalone, I thought this was a pretty damn good game for him too, particularly
every game has been an evergreen statement right there.
You see the communication passing off that defender. He immediately recognizes the drop off.
The leak. Yep.
It's right there.
Oh. The thing with Uku is he has the makings of some good stuff. He lacks polish. But there's
in his first NFL game he lacks polish.
No, 100%. But 100%. But there's some
a nice little pass rush move there. It's late and it's leaving.
There's some base instincts and base decisions that are good.
Yeah.
And so
I didn't come away feeling too bad about that.
Mm-mm.
And I think maybe that's also maybe what you end up seeing on Sunday is Pascal over there in the Hutchinson spot and Uku over there.
Yeah, and you're going to rotate them out,
Yeah.
and try some other guys and stuff, but it's not ideal, of course, but you're not in an ideal situation, so.
Jay-Z asks if Uku will fill an open roster spot. I mean, you have to think that's the direction this is going, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I'm not moving my depth chart around just because I'm anticipating it.
The question is what you do with the other one. Do you hold on to it? Do you wait for Broderick Martin? Do you fill it now with someone? I mean,
no, Broderick, you haven't even opened the window on Broderick yet, so I don't think you can wait on
2 or
him.
3 weeks ago.
I think Pat O'Connor makes the most sense because
he does keep
you need that inside-outside
guy. Mohammed, they keep bringing up.
Well, Mohammed's got some experience, so
yeah.
But they have to add an interior as well as an edge,
right? Chris Smith,
in my
he
mind.
Keeps bringing up, but
Chris
again,
Smith is good because he works, but he's just a nose. Like
right.
Then
that's all you need to fill Pecco's role.
But if you're going to expand Levi out into some edge spot, you need somebody. Yeah. But again, Chris can do that as well. So Chris Smith or O'Connor, and you can probably cut both of them and get them back on the practice squad if you need to make a move later. But because you make a trade or something.
To me, there's no reason necessarily to put those guys on the 53 yet. Like, why not have the flexibility of elevating them each week until you run out of elevations?
Sure, you could do that. That's the hamstring, right? Is that if you run out of elevations and then you don't have a spot on the 53-man roster and you need them later, then you're kind of in trouble.
Yeah.
And I also see why they're not panicking as much as I think everyone else is, which again, I totally get.
Yeah, I mean, you lose a defensive player of the year. It's understandable to be mad and upset and concerned. But I don't know. I watched the way that team played in the second half, and granted, at that point the Cowboys were one-dimensional, probably emotionally distraught. But I do think this team has options to generate a pass rush outside of Hutchinson.
Well, you're just going to do what the Vikings do, and you're going to scheme it.
Yep.
if again, asterisks galore on my statement here, but if you are a believer in the PFF grades, and you want to base decisions off of, or you want to base perspective off of what they do, and again, you have to take them with a grain of salt. But let me find my number here. The Vikings have all these terrific numbers. They blitz the second most in the league. They have the second most pressures in the league. They get to the quarterback more than anybody. They're third in sacks. Like, they got all these high statistical marks when it comes to production. But when you look at the individual players and then the team totality of how they work individually as far as pass rush, the Vikings pass rush in terms of PFF is 27th in the league individually. If you take their individual scores and put them together, so what that tells me is they're not winning their individual battles.
Right.
They're winning their schemed battles.
Right. It's like being a slot merchant.
Exactly. And so they are winning because of their scheme, not because of their players. And so their pass rushing grade as a team average is 56.4. That's their PFF grade. That's below average.
It's wild.
27.
It's wild.
What?
So just get ahead on them. Just figure out a way to get ahead on everybody, and you're going to win.
The Lions pass rush grade as a team, 87.1. First in the NFL.
It's insane.
Yes. First in the NFL. Again, these are
how much
PFF
that is in Aiden?
100%. 100%. A ton of that is because of Aiden. So that's why I didn't bring that up initially. But PFF's is.
But Ali McNeil is
low because
Ali McNeil is a 74.8. DJ Reader is a 73.1. Trevor Nowaski 69.9. Levi 69.0. Gets worse from there, but they got some horses. They hate Josh Pascal for some reason.
Oh, they hate Josh.
I think Josh didn't look as good in that left over the right tackle spot.
That's where he's going to have to live, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So to give, again, some perspective on where those pass rush pieces set, if you look at like defensive tackles playing 20%, just 20% or more. Aleem's puts him as the 12th best interior pass rusher, and DJ Reader is the 15th best interior pass rusher. So you have two of the top 15 interior pass rushers so far.
Talent. They got talent.
But that's and they're productive, right? So again, big asterisks on the PFF grades being what they are, but I think you can see it. Just looking at that breakdown we just did, you can see the interior pressure is something that they haven't had before, really.
Right.
And I think the interior pressure is part of what's giving me as much confidence as I have, is because the Vikings are really good at tackle, and I don't know if the Lions have edge rushers that are going to match up well against tackles, but their interior is problematic.
Yeah.
And I don't think Sam Darnold is going to be, he's no Kyler Murray. So
true.
Set the edge with your have him
just play run defense the entire game.
And then yeah. honestly, set the edge, let your interior go to work, get your blitzes going, profit.
All right, a couple things left to take care of here. People are yelling at me for yawning, but I'm past my bedtime. That's why I'm yawning. Nick the Greek, 100 bits says, you think the Hutch injury convinced Aleem to sign the deal, take the money and run?
No. Oh, what was the last part? Take the money and run? No.
Yeah.
I've had people ask if like the Hutch thing influenced the Lions to want to get that done with Aleem, and that's also no.
No. This is something they've been working on for a very long time. The timing is odd, but also the timing of, they told us.
They told us when they signed Decker, they were like, yeah, Liam's next.
Yep. And they lied because Montgomery was next.
That Dan Campbell, so sneaky.
He's becoming a better liar. 100 bits from Nick the Greek again, says Trevor Nowaski. Sounds like the name of someone who lives in White Lake Township who was bullied in middle school.
He might have been. That's why he's so big and strong. He kind of did the what was that movie with The Rock? And he does like a million movies with Kevin Hart. Yeah. And there was one of them where he was like the bullied kid, and then he becomes this big It's a movie.
It's a movie. I'm sure
it's a movie. Nick's pitching.
Jumanji.
No, I mean Jumanji.
Central Intelligence, says chat.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. That's what Nick is pitching. Nick is pitching Nowaski is the Rock in Central Intelligence.
Good job, Phenom Sawao, who also says, I can't believe I know that. 10 more bits from Nick the Greek says, what about adding Clowney, I think is what you meant to ask, for the strong side edge. He's on the Panthers and must be available.
He was in my list of 10. From Carolina, played at South Carolina, went to Carolina to be home. Also doesn't like losing. Also was injured. So you got to get healthy first.
But join Aleem, another Carolina guy. Not the same Carolina, but a Carolina guy.
So's Reader.
So's Reader, that's right.
Yeah. Just have all Carolina defensive line.
Ben Johnson's Carolina guy too.
Yeah, look at that. He can coach the defensive line now.
All right. I think it's time to get out of here. We're not making any more sense.
I am making perfect sense.
I'm
ready to roll.
No. You're at least more of a night owl than I am, because everyone in that household stays up till midnight, and I don't understand how.
Well, the nice thing is the ones who usually stay up a little later were at overnight camp the last couple of days, so they are exhausted and probably in bed.
You've firsthand seen what it's like when I try to stay up as long as the Schlitt family at the Schlitt house. I get very tired. That's because I wake up at 5:30, 6 o'clock every morning.
Hey, my alarm's set for 5:30 right now.
Why?
Because I have to get up for my kid.
Why?
Brooklyn. She goes to school, man.
At 5:30?
No, but she has to go to school. She gets picked up between 6:35 and 6:45.
Dang.
So I have to get up and I cook her. I cook for her in the morning, so she has good breakfast, good lunch, right?
She gets sustenance.
She's very particular in what she likes. So I get up and I'm cooking and I make coffee and then I help her get ready and I pack her bag and and it takes me. I gotta get up so I get up at 5:30 because it takes her 45 minutes and then it gives me 20 minutes to get myself prepped. So yeah, I gotta get a bit I used to try and push it, but 5:30.
Well, if you gotta get up at 5:30, man, that's 7.5 hours. You should be getting 8 hours of sleep. You should have been asleep 15 minutes ago.
Well, no, I have to write. I haven't even started writing the scheme article. I've researched it. I know what I know.
Just copy and paste from last year. Jesus.
Dude, I honestly, I have so much great stuff in there. There's some stuff that I just might. I actually like copied some stuff like to like, oh, don't forget to like look at
yeah.
this but like, yeah. Like,
All right.
I've already got my.
Everyone in chat is bragging about how they get up at 5:32 to make us feel not special. Okay, great.
for them.
You succeeded, chat. We're not special.
We're all. That's great. Yeah, my coffee goes up at 5:30. It's part of being an adult.
Ugh, the worst.
I know.
Why do we agree to do that?
To be an adult? I don't
Yeah.
think we agreed. I think it just organically happened.
All right. What happened to this? Let's get out of here. The Purview podcast will be up and live tomorrow, I believe. First Bite with Arif Hassan has been scheduled, so that'll be part of your preview newsletter that should be dropping on Friday morning. So
I'm sure everything he will say will be the counter of what I just said tonight.
That's right. But Arif is the best. I'm going to be on his podcast. He'll be on ours. So make sure you see that, listen to that, watch it, whatever you want to do with it. You have to be a subscriber to Pride of Detroit Direct in order to get that. So go to prideofdetroit.com/subscribe if you want it. But until then, guys, appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Appreciate all the good questions, the donations, the subscriptions, all that stuff. You guys are the best. We're getting out of here, AFB, but yes. 3-hour stream. Why? I couldn't tell you.
Was it? Oh, almost.
Yeah, almost.
That's because it's my fault. We started watching film. That's why.
Yeah.